The Tsay family has a strict unwritten rule. Every member must make a choice upon turning 12, either staying as a tool for political marriage or striking out on their own with zero financial support. So on your 12th birthday, you chose the latter without hesitation. Having seen enough tragedy in romance novels to know you had no interest in being a pretty caged bird, and slipped away into the night before anyone could stop you, heading straight overseas to somewhere beyond the reach of the Tsay family's influence. Although the millions in tuition each year were a steep price, it was not your money anyway, and seeing you run away, the old patriarch hastily added, a new rule capping tuition at $20,000 and living expenses at $10,000 for those who chose to leave, leaving no room to take advantage of the family assets, though fortunately for you, you had already swept away a massive pile of funds in one go and vanished into thin air, without the family ever knowing where you were hiding. As for the new rule, it certainly could not apply to you after the fact, and when they finally located you years later, the old man did not force you to repay it, since you were already abroad, and he could hardly watch his biological grandchild starve to death in a foreign land. Who could have thought that the sweet, obedient darling of the family would have the guts to take the hardest path imaginable, especially when the old man had already picked out a marriage partner for you to ensure you became a wealthy spouse, only for you to run faster than a rabbit for fear of being dragged into the fire? The old man was so furious at the time that he skipped 3 meals in a row and established strict boundaries on the spot, feeling a sense of balance only when he saw all the younger girls eyeing your path turn green with envy, ensuring their plans to escape as a group were thoroughly crushed. Consequently, during every online family gathering, you received resentful glares from your younger siblings through the screen. Though being thousands of miles away, such mental attacks lacked any real lethality, leaving you to merely shrug and tell them to accept their fate early. Your original plan was to coast along until 22 and return after university graduation, but your siblings revolted, demanding to know why you got to spend millions a year without any obligations while refusing to return for an arranged marriage, even threatening to go on strike themselves. To appease the public outrage, the old man issued an ultimatum: either return meekly for an arranged marriage after graduation, or return all the money spent after high school and transfer immediately back to Jiangzhou. After wrestling with the decision all night, you decided to return home, mainly because you had squandered almost all of that $6 million on a crash course arts academy just to enjoy yourself abroad, and had already graduated 2 years prior, meaning that if the family found out and forced you to reimburse the funds, you would be at a total loss. With the money already spent, expecting you to cough it up was pure wishful thinking, as you would never pay it back in this lifetime, so redoing university back home was a small price to pay for a free degree that would make job hunting easier later. Once your mind was made up, you transferred all 5 years of expenses back to the family ledger, keeping only 1 month of food money on hand, and after living lavishly for 2 days, you bought a plane ticket home with your remaining 10,000+ yen, the price of which made your heart ache severely. Pouting as you watched the cabin doors slowly close, you casually switched your phone to airplane mode, snapped your zero-balance card into several pieces, tossed them into the trash can, and bid farewell to the past. You pulled up the blanket and fell into a deep sleep, having deliberately chosen a midnight flight to get a solid dozen hours of rest and land at precisely 6 a.m. local time, completely eliminating any need for jet lag so you could play hard right after stepping off the plane. Having been away for 5 full years, you intended to make the most of the summer break in Jiangzhou, and having stayed up all night playing online games to ensure you could sleep soundly during the flight, you passed out the moment your eyelids closed, sitting up straight with ease only when the flight attendant gently woke you up. After waking up, you curled your lips into a triumphant smile, proud of your perfect timing, but as you dragged your small suitcase out of the security checkpoint and looked up at the massive sign for Beihai International Airport, you were completely dumbfounded. Were Beihai City and Zhangzhou the same place? Clearly not. Panicking. You searched every single pocket without finding even a coin, and since you had personally destroyed your card, you were thoroughly stuck, wondering how on earth you were going to get back to Jiangzhou. Staring down at your sole remaining lifeline, you hastily turned off airplane mode, grateful that your phone had international roaming. So contacting the outside world was not an issue, and immediately dialed your father. The ringtone chimed for 2 full minutes before his impatient roar came through. Look at what time it is. It's not even 6:30. If you don't have something serious to say, see how I deal with you. You quickly squeezed your throat and switched to a sorrowful voice. Dad, help me! Something terrible happened. On the other end, Shikaito abruptly stopped roaring, rolled out of bed to grab his clothes, and asked with sudden panic in his voice, "What on earth happened to you?" Looking around like a thief and slipping into an empty corner, you activated your inner Oscar-winning actor. Dad, my wallet was stolen. I don't have a single cent left. I'm right at the entrance of Beihai Airport. Send someone to rescue me quickly, or I'll die out here. After listening, Shikaito ground his teeth loudly. Say! TSZ, do you think I'm stupid? With that devious personality of yours that hasn't taken a loss since kindergarten? Who could possibly steal your bag? You probably spent all your money and have no travel funds left, yet you have the nerve to come act pitiful with me. Shikaito slammed his jacket to the side, his voice dripping with ice. Spending money without limits means you deserve to suffer. I am absolutely not helping you this time, and no one in the family is allowed to support you either. If you're so capable, find your own way back. Before you could perform further, a dial tone echoed from the receiver, proving he was truly your biological father. So wiping away non-existent tears at the busy signal, you immediately turned around and called your beautiful mother. Unfortunately, she was swamped with work, so only her assistant answered. And while you could throw away your pride in front of your dad, you still had an image to maintain around strangers, making it impossible to ask for money, leaving you to exchange a few pleasantries before hanging up in a hurry. With your dad ignoring you and your mom out of the picture, were you really forced to disturb the old man? Gritting your teeth and stomping your foot, you shamelessly dialed the landline at the ancestral home, where the call was picked up by your cousin Shikazumi, the third daughter of your second uncle. She was just 2 months older than you, currently in her final year of high school, and had chosen the tough route, just like you. But as she sat bitterly in the living room, memorizing vocabulary, she actually burst into laughter upon hearing about your plight, leaving behind a line telling you to fend for yourself before decisively pulling out the phone line. Rolling your eyes at the darkened phone screen, you realized calling again was impossible because your phone was completely out of credit, and with your dad's order issued, your siblings, who had long been jealous of your fun abroad, certainly would not lend you a dime, meaning you had to rely on your own 2 hands. How could you earn money? A large city like Beihai was full of opportunities, and with summer break in full swing, temporary summer jobs were bound to be everywhere. You targeted small street eateries as the easiest option, requiring no academic background or special credentials, where willing labor was enough to earn a meal. Without credentials, you finally secured a dishwashing gig, only to shatter 7 plates within an hour, driving the furious owner to merely pull your ear off as he threw you out the door. Clinging desperately to the table leg while acting pitiful, you cried out, "Boss, calm down." These plates really had a mind of their own. Crying with a aggrieved face, you shouted, "Boss, don't kick me out. My entire family relies on this money for food. I swear I'll break fewer plates next time. The water was just too greasy for me to hold on to them." The owner's face turned bright red with rage as he tugged at your collar. "Cut the act! Pay for my plates right now or get out." 30 yen per plate? 7 broken plates, that's 180 yen. Stunned on the spot, you asked, "Boss, did your math teacher pass away early? Isn't 3 times 7 210? Realizing his mistake, the owner's anger turned into a cold sneer as he let go and glared at you. "Fine, since you know math, pay me 210 yen. Immediately adopting a shy demeanor, you blushed, covered your mouth, and shuffled outward with hesitant steps. "Well, boss, I'd better roll away smoothly then. As for paying, that was completely out of the question, given that your entire body was cleaner than your face." Dragging your suitcase dejectedly out of the restaurant, you did not forget to look back and give the owner a tearful farewell, and watching your destitute figure wandering the street. The owner even began to reflect on his conscience, wondering if he had been too harsh. Initially, you were hired to serve tea and water, but because your work was so absurd, you were banished to the kitchen, where nobody expected a troublemaker who ruined everything from washing vegetables to chopping meat, possessing an appetite so massive that even pigs in a pen would bow in defeat. Thinking back, the owner realized he had not hired a worker, but rather an exactor of debts, so hardening his heart, he turned and walked away. Off to a bad start under the scorching sun, you felt like you were about to melt on the spot after less than 5 minutes of walking. Rushing into a nearby shopping mall to blast the air conditioning, and once your sweat cleared, you strolled over to the service desk to beg for a cup of water. The receptionist girl sneaked curious glances at you. Given your heavy, dark, smoky eye makeup, a head full of colorful braided dreadlocks, oversized silver hoops dangling from your ears, a ethnic-style tank top, and cropped pants, making you look like a vibrant, rebellious youth. Handing over the water, she could not help but examine you, asking curiously, "Are you a professional model?" Waving your hand casually, you indicated that this was just your daily attire, causing her eyes to light up as she praised your top-tier figure and suggested, "The hotel on the 9th floor is holding a fashion week right now. Why don't you try your luck there to earn some pocket money?" She had only given you the suggestion after seeing you stare at the part-time job advertisements, making your eyes widen as if discovering a new continent upon hearing this. "Are they still hiring temporary workers right now?" Seeing that you took the bait, the receptionist girl smiled comfortably. "I'm not sure if they're hiring more people, but even if they aren't, going in to broaden your horizons and learn about current trends is still a guaranteed win." Gulping down a large cup of water, you excitedly grabbed her hand. "Sister, you are literally my savior. When I make money, I'll definitely treat you to a huge feast." Startled by your sudden enthusiasm, the receptionist girl could only politely decline with awkwardness. While you smiled until your eyes turned into slits, released her hand, lifted the heavy suitcase, and sprinted toward the escalator, watching your departing back, the receptionist girl shook her head, sighing at how youth brought such boundless energy, carrying a suitcase weighing dozens of kilograms, as if it were a toy. After climbing one floor and finding the stairs absurdly roundabout, you squeezed straight into the glass observation elevator to head directly to the 9th floor. And as the elevator arrived smoothly with a ding, you pulled your suitcase and charged out, only to run straight into a massive advertisement billboard. Unluckily, it happened to be the turf of the Sumida family, the arch-enemy of the Tse family. Your lips twitched violently, and your immediate instinct was to stuff yourself back into the elevator. But the mirror-finish steel plate reflected your current disguise, where even your own mother would not recognize you under that heavy, smoky makeup, granting you immense courage, feeling instantly revived. You thought to yourself that earning an enemy's money was practically removing a public harm and bringing glory to your ancestors, something your grandfather would surely applaud as a brilliant move if he knew. Plucking up your courage to weave left and right through the corridors, you finally found the model dressing room, which was cluttered with trash all over the floor. So, finding a random corner to dump your suitcase, you felt completely unconcerned about thieves since you were penniless anyway. Squatting down, you pulled out your prized makeup kit. As a veteran face changer whose equipment was purely professional grade, and scanning the room, you noticed over 30 models served by only 3 makeup artists, which was clearly a recipe for exhaustion. Smirking internally, you carried your kit straight toward the manager, who was currently so stressed he wanted to hit his head against a wall. Staring closely at your face for a long while, the manager, Jian Kazuma, said, "Since your makeup looks pretty good, and we are indeed short-handed, I need to test your real skills first, because show makeup requires not just beauty, but extreme speed." Fashion shows were like battlefields where everyone operated on stopwatches. With only a dozen minutes between outfit changes and returning to the runway, making complete makeup removal, reapplication, and styling an extreme test for any makeup artist. Because the entry barrier was so high and major shows were competing for talent, They had gone through great trouble to hire 3 top-tier master stylists to hold down the fort. Raising an eyebrow, you flashed a confident smile. "So, do you have time to be my test subject right now?" John Kazuma froze for 2 seconds before coming to his senses, waving his hand grandly. "Fine, I'll give you 5 minutes to show what you can do." Pushing the manager onto a chair, you violently removed the light makeup from his face, your eyes scanning the finished looks of nearby models, while your hands moved so fast they turned into a blur. Holding his breath nervously for fear of choking on the powder you kicked up, John Kazuma felt as though barely a snap of a finger had passed before you patted your hands and told him it was done. Eagerly opening his eyes to look in the mirror, the manager was completely stunned, as the makeup was clean, crisp, and identical to the sample template. Your lightning-fast application speed was simply absurd, proving you truly possessed real skill capable of handling the temporary makeup artist role. Revealing approval in his eyes, John Kazuma offered high praise. "Not bad at all!" Promptly settling the payment terms with you. John Kazuma assigned 8 female models to your care. And after quickly reviewing their faces in your mind, you officially got to work, mimicking the reference photos stored on their phones. Just as you finished one model, a stylist immediately followed up on hair, achieving seamless coordination that allowed everyone to finish shortly before the main show began. After a quick rehearsal, everyone dispersed to rest, waiting for the fashion week to officially commence at 7:30 p.m. While the models starved themselves to maintain their figures before the show, you had no such discipline, pulling out your phone to surf the web after rehearsal, and by 6:30 p.m., you are hiding in a corner with a meal box, devouring your food voraciously. At 17, growing rapidly meant eating plenty was the top priority, and you ate with such relish that your mouth almost stretched to your ears. Connecting to Wi-Fi to watch dramas on popular domestic video platforms, where you accidentally stumbled upon a youth campus drama your beautiful mother had starred in during her early years. Even though the plot was a bit cringing, your mother's ethereal beauty allowed her to play a high school student in her late 20s without any pressure, holding your attention through the entire episode. Finishing your meal and watching half an episode, you satisfiedly put away your phone, wiped your greasy mouth with a tissue, rinsed your mouth with water, and walked out holding the empty box. Although there were trash cans in the dressing room, the smell of boxed food was too strong, and not wanting to stink up the room for others, you opened the door to throw it outside. By now, the audience was gradually entering, with 6 greeting hostesses standing by the elevator, as distinguished guests periodically arrived and walked straight into the show venue. The elevator was likely restricted at this hour, allowing almost no unauthorized personnel except for major figures coming to watch the show. And after tossing your trash, you lazily hid in a corner to secretly observe which big shots this major show had attracted. Around 7:10 p.m., Jiang Kazuma rushed over to you frantically, urging you to hurry back with only 20 minutes left before the show started. Knowing it was indeed time to prepare backstage, you flashed a grin and obediently followed John Kazuma toward the dressing room. But along the way, John Kazuma kept stealing glances at you, making you feel uncomfortable. Just as you were guessing what he had up his sleeve, Jiang Kazuma asked, "Have you ever walked a runway before?" Looking at him with a bewildered expression, you watched as Jiang Kazuma explained with irritation, "A model tripped and broke her foot just now, and I need someone to save the show? The event is about to start, so I don't have time to look for models outside. I think your physical condition is decent, so if you can go on stage, I'll give you 20,000 yen. Your eyes lit up instantly at the mention of money, and you nodded repeatedly. I have! 20,000 yen was enough for you to live comfortably for a good while. Walk a few steps for me to see then, Jiang Kazuma said. Nodding, you raised your eyes to look straight ahead, striding forward with an expressionless face. And after you walked a full lap, John Kazuma felt relieved. All right, go inside to do your makeup and change clothes. Since you still need to do makeup for others, I'll arrange for you to go on first. Once you enter the dressing room, your current makeup can be used directly. Just add some shiny glitter to your face, though the trouble lies in your braided hair, which takes too much time to untangle. Getting impatient while untangling your hair, the stylist turned around to grab a blonde wig, fitting it carefully over your head. Your skin was porcelain white with a healthy rosy flush and paired with the golden hair. Blue contact lenses, sharp eyebrows, and bright eyes. You looked remarkably handsome and agile, looking just like a prince straight out of a fairy tale. Finishing the hair quickly, the stylist gasped upon seeing the face in the mirror, amazed by your extraordinary natural looks. But since fashion shows focused on clothing rather than letting the model overshadow the outfit, the stylist equipped you with a pair of sunglasses. This secretly delighted you, knowing that with sunglasses on, no one in the audience would recognize who you were, so taking your assigned position to strike a pose, you surveyed the entire venue from the high platform, where the main hall was fan-shaped and the runway extended across 2/3 of the hall from the center. Those sitting in the front row belonged to famous enterprises, while small and medium-sized ones sat behind them. As at a fashion show, most people were not there for the clothes, but were using their entry tickets to build network connections. At this moment, those in the back row were enthusiastically striking up relationships with the people in front. Scanning around the room, your eyes paused on a teenage girl sitting upright without turning her head, who appeared to be about 16 or 17 years old with a somewhat childish face, fair skin and red lips against white teeth. Sitting there, clear, mild, and upright, she formed a style of her own, occasionally leaning her head to speak to the person beside her in an unhurried, warm, and pleasant voice, which made you feel amazed at how you could actually hear her speaking voice amidst such loud music and chaotic noise. Since openly staring at a beautiful girl cost nothing, you looked a bit longer, while deciphering her identity in your mind. But the collective showcase lasted only 5 minutes, so before you could figure it out, you had already stepped down from the runway. Returning backstage to change back into your own clothes, you helped tidy up the makeup supplies, and after all the tossing around at the fashion show, you quickly threw the matter of the beautiful girl to the back of your mind. Once the venue was cleared, Jiang Kazuma found you and handed you your pay. And since makeup artists and models almost all had their own companies and studios to better showcase the clothing, everyone here formed temporary teams to work, with wages paid promptly after the job was finished. Your pay was quite generous, kept in a delicate little black pouch. And when Jiang Kazuma handed it over, you merely squeezed its thickness without even counting it. Expressed your thanks directly, and prepared to drag your luggage away. Seeing a temporary worker for the first time who did not settle accounts face-to-face during an initial collaboration, Jiang Kazuma raised an eyebrow. "Why don't we exchange contact details? How about I contact you if there are any work opportunities in the future?" Showing a bit of apology in your expression, you replied, "Sorry, I just came back from abroad today and don't have a local phone number yet. So how about Manager Jiang gives me a business card, and I'll add your WeChat once I get a SIM card." "That works too," Jiang Kazuma said, fumbling in his top pocket to pull out a business card and hand it to you. Taking it with both hands, you watched as Jiang Kazuma had other matters to attend to, gave a greeting, and turned to leave. Not lingering any longer either, you dragged your luggage and followed everyone down the internal staff passageway. The mall closed at 10 p.m., and reaching the first-floor lobby, you pulled out your phone to check the time, seeing it was only 9:40 p.m. Smiling brightly, you ran over to the mall service desk. "Hi, I came down. It's almost time to clock off, right? Can I treat you to a late-night snack?" Not expecting you to actually come back for her. The female clerk was slightly stunned. "Are you really treating me to a meal?" "Of course. Words spoken are like poured water, and I keep my promises, as a person must have at least this much integrity." While you offered the treat generously, the female clerk did not feel she had helped with anything, waving her hands repeatedly. "Thank you very much for your kindness, but a meal isn't necessary. It's getting late now, and you're carrying luggage, so you should find a place to settle down and rest early." Chinese people possessed an inherent hospitality, so no matter what she said, you had made up your mind to treat her to a meal anyway, pulling her along to drink milk, tea, and eat barbecue nearby after she clocked off. Being unfamiliar with you, the female clerk had a face full of despair, which you noticed. So hurriedly ending the late-night snack trip, you wiped the grease off your lips with a tissue. "Sister, let me walk you back." Waving her hands repeatedly again, the female clerk said, "I'm already in my 30s, so nothing will happen to me going back alone. As for you, If you don't find a place to stay and report your safety to your family is probably going to worry. You merely nodded, yet your actions remained stubborn as you obstinately walked her home before going off to find a hotel to rest. The more prosperous a place was, the more chaotic its neon-flashing midnight became. So after checking into the hotel, you tossed your sun-protective shirt that had been slashed by a knife into the trash, took clean spare clothes, and went into the bathroom to shower. Emerging from the bathroom feeling completely refreshed, you poured yourself a glass of red wine and walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window to look down from above, where even at this hour, with neon lights flashing and heavy traffic flowing, the world outside the window still looked like broad daylight. Leaping until 10 a.m., you bought a new phone in H-City and embarked on the journey home, having planned this time to save your money first and spend it only after reaching Jiangzhou. Otherwise, you would fall into a recurring cycle of being broke. Being broke was not scary, but being broke when school started was, as the 10,000 yen living expenses given by the family was not enough for a year. And having lived in luxury abroad for so long, it was impossible for you to return and eat coarse food. H-City was quite close to Jiangzhou, so after taking a taxi for 2.5 hours, you arrived within the borders of Jiangzhou. Opening the car window, you leaned on the window frame and exclaimed like a social butterfly, "Driver, Jiangzhou is so beautiful." Looking at the clean and tidy roads with flowers and green trees visible everywhere, the taxi seemed to have driven into a vibrant and bright Wizard of Oz. The taxi driver nodded in agreement. "Doesn't it? Jiangzhou is not only a first-tier city, but also the city with the highest vegetation coverage rate in the nation. Not just the roads. Every household plants all kinds of flowers and plants. So every time you look up, you can see all kinds of scenery, and there are many famous scenic spots too." Driver, listening to you, you seem quite familiar with this place. "Ha! Even though I'm rocking an H-City license plate, I'm a genuine Jiangzhou local. I've walked through every street and alley in Jiangzhou, and I can tell you all about where the good food and fun spots are." You were also from Jiangzhou, yet you were not familiar with this city because when you were young, you received an elite education basically running between school and home, with no time to walk around the outside world. And later, after making your life choice, you went abroad to S-City. S-City was utterly chaotic, with dirty, messy, and poor streets, pedestrians pulling guns over the slightest disagreement, the stench of waste in the air, and completely deserted streets after nightfall. Perhaps under the cover of night in the country, there were undercurrents surging, but it was definitely the place most suitable for ordinary folks to live. Gathering your thoughts, you asked, "Driver, I'm not very familiar with Jiangzhou, so can you share with me where the fun spots are? I can take advantage of the summer break to walk around." Quote, "Then there's plenty to tell. Talking about this." The driver spoke endlessly, filling the boring time of the long journey with humorous introductions to scenic spots, and time passed without you realizing it until you got off at Jing'an District in Jiangzhou. Paying the fare, you retrieved your luggage from the trunk and waved to the driver. With a face full of smiles, the driver said, "Young man, I'm taking off. If you ever want to go play in H-City, you can call me as I come back to stay in Jiangzhou one day every week." "All right then," you softly agreed. And the driver hit the gas and left. Turning around to find a passerby for directions, you first went to the Jing'an District Public Security Bureau to apply for an expedited ID card. But even though it was expedited, the new ID card would still take 2 days to get, so you obtained a temporary ID card to make handling affairs easier. Before getting the official ID card, you were too lazy to run back and forth, so you found a nearby esports hotel to stay in. Taking the room card, you rode the elevator upstairs, tossed your luggage into the room after entering, went downstairs to forage for food, and registered a new SIM card before returning to the hotel to rest. The first thing you did upon entering the room was to insert the new SIM card into the new phone slot and power it on, downloading a bunch of commonly used domestic software and registering a mess of random accounts. Because after living abroad for these past few years, you had to rely on these apps to dig around if you wanted to keep up with domestic internet speeds. Finishing setting up the various accounts, You logged into Weibo to gossip on the front lines, only to unexpectedly find gossip about yourself while browsing, as the raw photos of your runway show at the Sumida family's Fashion Week yesterday were prominently placed on the hot search list. Although it was only ranked 10th, for a novice making a first appearance, it was already quite impressive. Squinting with a smile as you clicked into the hashtag, the beginning of the article introduced the Sumida family's Fashion Week alongside famous figures in the fashion industry. And when introducing the clothing, the image insert of yours was placed right at the top, followed by images of other models, yet only your picture appeared the most striking, as even without Photoshop, the beauty of the clothing was displayed to the fullest. Appearing on the Weibo hot search for the first time, you eagerly scrolled down to check the comment section. Love this designer so much. I fell in love with this outfit at first sight. Brothers and sisters, is this guy a natural clothes hanger? So amazing. Visually estimating that this young man will be a rising star in the modeling world. A model who can perfectly interpret clothing to harvest good reactions and make the clothes more eye-catching will be fought over no matter which runway show he goes to. Butler, I want all the information on this man within an hour. Most people in the comment section were discussing the clothing and designers of this fashion week, while a small portion was exploring your identity. Though currently no netizens had found a matching person, unable to find a single piece of news. Was this guy a complete amateur before? Browsing the comment section for a while and seeing that, besides the show pictures, no one had dug up your private photos, you felt at ease, exited the hot search, and clicked into other hot search topics to browse. After finishing today's gossip, you switched apps to check out Douyin, which was the largest live streaming platform in China, offering makeup, gaming, outdoor activities, music, and everything else, along with various hilarious videos that were quite interesting. You scrolled through streams for a while and then discovered a business opportunity, seeing that many people tipped these streamers with gifts that could be converted into cash. So if you also joined the live streaming, you would not need to go out to work in the wind and sun to earn living expenses. Thinking like this, you tossed the phone aside, turned on the gaming computer, and searched for some guides online, registering a live streaming account to test the waters. You could not think of what to stream at the moment, but not wanting to do face-revealing types, you started a gaming stream instead. Maintaining your usual style while playing games, you rarely turned on the mic to speak, and after playing quietly for 3 hours to your heart's content, the viewers watching the stream were miserably few, with nobody tipping gifts at all, meaning you most likely could not make a living as a streamer. Having opened streams before with few viewers as well, you were not disappointed by this. Calmly turning off the stream, getting up to throw yourself onto the bed, and pulling out your phone to browse part-time job information in Jiangzhou. As the saying goes, at home you rely on your parents, and outside you rely on your friends. But currently you could not rely on your family, and having been away for a few years, you had 0 friends, leaving you to be self-reliant. In an era of information explosion, finding part-time jobs was extremely convenient, and spending 2 hours, you found 2 part-time jobs you could do, immediately dialing the phone to contact the bosses and negotiate interview times. This kind of entertainment-based part-time job did not require much work experience anyway. So after a bit of communication with the shop owners, even the interviews were saved, settling the shift times directly. Now that you had part-time jobs, the only thing missing was a place to stay, but not knowing where the family would arrange for you to go to school. You thought about it and decided it was better to look for a house after returning home once. On the day you received your ID card, you prepared to go home, riding your newly bought bicycle and following the navigation back to the Tsai family's grand mansion, located halfway up the North Mountain in Jiangzhou. You entered the house in the morning, the big family reunion meal was eaten at noon, and you were kicked out of the house in the afternoon, with Grandpa Tsai claiming in the name of righteousness. Didn't you like staying outside? Didn't you refrain from coming home for 5 years? Didn't you want to be self-reliant? Then wait until whenever he was in a good mood to invite you to the mansion as a guest again. Swept out the door without mercy after the meal, you pitifully hugged the main gate railing and shouted, "Grandpa, you are my real grandpa!" Shy Nobuhiro originally thought you would kneel down, admit your mistake, and say you should not have spoken wild words, only to hear you wailing over there, "Grandpa, the mountain road is hard to walk, so at least send a car to take me down the mountain." On such a steep slope, You wouldn't want to see your biological grandson fall to death on the mountain road, right? Shinobuhiro was amused to anger by you. Say TSZ, are you rolling away now, or should I, the old man, find someone to beat you up before you roll away? Hearing this, you immediately let go of the railing, nimbly secured your luggage to the rear seat of the bicycle, and pedaled the bike like riding on fire wheels, slipping away out of sight in a flash. Shinobuhiro watched anxiously for a while, and seeing you riding smoothly and steadily, he smiled lovingly, thinking that this stinky kid was still so uninhibited, maintaining the exact same nature as before. Propping himself on his walking stick, Shinobuhiro returned inside the mansion, where a group of people were still sitting in the living room without leaving, with over a dozen members of the Tsei family sitting in a circle, looking very lively. Did everyone hear what TSZ said at the dining table just now? He's being self-reliant and doesn't even need the family? Shikazumi, you move out tomorrow to find your own place to live as well. Shikumo will also move out to live after starting high school. Everyone else, manage your own wallets and follow the rules properly. If I catch anyone breaking the family rules, don't blame me for executing family law. Shinobuhiro left behind these words and went upstairs at a leisurely pace. At this moment, Shikazumi was holding her phone to complain to her best friend about you, her arrogant, stinky younger brother, when suddenly hearing Shishoshin's words, she froze on the spot. Grandpa, are you serious? She had not planned to go out and work during her high school stage. And although 10,000 yen in living expenses would be tight, staying at home during winter and summer breaks with 1,000 yen a month in living expenses was still enough to get by. Only now did Shikazumi realize that as happily as she had laughed at the dining table earlier, that was how aggrieved she felt now. Damn it, no wonder you made a righteous vow earlier not to spend an extra cent from home. Turns out you were framing her here. You were definitely avenging her, pulling out your phone line back then, which was simply too sinister. The four cold words, "Of course I'm serious," shattered all of Shikazumi's expectations and fantasies, and immediately afterward, Shishoshin's figure disappeared around the corner of the second-floor stairs. Meanwhile, sitting on your bicycle, you coasted all the way down the mountain, and after reaching the bottom, you looked back at the position halfway up the mountain with the corners of your lips turning up slightly. As your phone call was not something just anyone could hang up on without consequences. Indirectly getting back at Shikazumi, you pedaled your bike toward the city in a cheerful mood, finding a milk tea shop to drink milk tea and enjoy the air conditioning while sitting in a window seat, holding your phone to look for a place to stay. Having been told that after school started, you would be studying at Jingren No. 1 High School in Jing'an District, you naturally had to pick a place close to the school. Searching through rental websites, you found that even the old, run-down apartments near the school cost at least 500 yen a month, so flipping back and forth to check the balance in your bank card, you decided not to rely on websites and go search on-site near the school directly. Sometimes, although websites were convenient, not many people knew how to post houses for rent online, leading to few online listings and high prices. If that study abroad money was still in your hands, you would definitely rent the house without even blinking, but unfortunately now, you were a poor ghost with a card balance of less than 10,000 yen, so you could only calculate carefully. Finishing your milk tea, you tucked your phone into your bag and rode your bike toward Jingren No. 1 High School, where, since summer break had just started not long ago, a portion of students were still attending makeup classes in school. Looking at the place where you would stay for a year in the future at the school gate, you then took the school as the center to scurry around the alley opposite, continuously checking the advertisements posted at the entrance of each building corridor. Wandering around for more than half an hour, you finally found a house to your liking, located only 500 meters from the school, featuring 1 room, 1 kitchen, and 1 bathroom across 15 square meters with complete facilities, and a rent of 800 yen within your tolerance range. Shifting your gaze down, you dialed the contact number, and after the ringtone chimed 3 times, the call connected. "Hello, landlord. I'm downstairs at the rental apartment. May I ask if it's convenient for you to show the room now?" Yes, I live upstairs. Wait a moment, I'll come down right away." Locking your bicycle and taking off your luggage, you waited for about a minute before a young woman wearing a floral, sun-protective outfit and sandals came down the stairwell holding a large cluster of keys. And judging by this stance, most of this building belonged to this Sister Choi. Opening the iron door from the inside, the landlady sized you up and down, raised her hand to tidy her hair. "Little handsome guy, you're the one renting, right? Did you come alone?" I'm renting. I'll be studying at Jingren when school starts, and since my parents have to work, I came over by myself." "All right, come in. Carrying your luggage into the house?" Sister Choi spoke as she led the way. "Currently, there are vacant rooms on the 3rd, 6th, and 7th floors. Which floor do you want to live on?" "Can I look at the room environment first?" There was only one room on the 3rd floor with rent 200 yen cheaper. But seeing that the layout was an equilateral triangle, making it really hard to place things, you declined and followed her upstairs. This building was quite popular, with 16 rooms per floor, and the 6th and 7th floors had vacant rooms only because climbing stairs was tiring. Yet there were only 3 rooms left to choose from anyway. The 7th floor, without air conditioning in summer, was too hard to endure, so pondering for a moment, you chose the room at the end of the corridor on the 6th floor, as the entire building was a U-shape, facing door to door with the opposite side, with a good orientation, so it would not be too stuffy and hot in summer. Taking you into the room to check the facilities, Sister Choi said, "Take a look. Everything can be used, and normal wear and tear won't deduct the deposit. I don't have major requirements for renting out the room. First, absolutely no pets. Second, no disturbing neighbors before 8 a.m. and after 9 p.m. Third, no throwing objects from high altitude. Fourth, keep it clean, whether inside the room or in the corridor. You know you students don't rent for long, so I hope when you leave. The room can be rented directly to the next person without making me renovate again. Otherwise, I'll ask for 10 times the compensation fee. If you have no objections, let's sign the contract and pick up the keys." Everything Sister Choi mentioned was within your ability, and the room had no issues either, so you nodded. And Sister Choi asked you to wait a moment, turning around to go back and bring 2 copies of the contract. 1 room, 2 copies, 1 month deposit, and 3 months rent. If there's no issue, sign it. The contract consisted of only 2 sheets of paper detailing responsibilities, obligations, and breach compensation. And after finishing reading it, a brilliant smile appeared on your face. "Sister Choi, if I pay a full year's rent all at once, can it be a few hundred yen cheaper?" "That's really a different matter, bro. But the biggest issue is that you look so handsome, yet you're begging for a discount of just 100 yen. Do you want to kill me, or what?" I signed that contract like a completely naive child, and then handed over 600 yen. "Currently, I only have this much money left to give. I will definitely pay you the 800 yen deposit in a few days." That landlady made a weird sound. And after writing the receipt, she detached a new key from her keychain. She took out the key to room 602, the receipt, and a key card, placing them directly on the table. "The key card is used to open the lower iron door. Keep it safe, bro." "This is the only key to this room, so don't make the mistake of losing it. If you get locked outside and I have to come, listen, you'll have to pay me 200 yen every time to break the lock." "Thank you, I understand completely." The landlady had no more useless chatter left to spout, dragging her slippers as she walked back downstairs. I closed the door and opened my suitcase to unpack all my belongings so I could rest. Bro, inside were only 2 pairs of clothes and a single razor. There was no bed or toiletries in that rented room, which meant I would have to buy everything myself. I was screwed! Great, now finding a part-time job became my most urgent task. But first, I had to make a solid arrangement to fill my stomach. I went downstairs and ate food from the shop right opposite the school, blowing every last coin of my remaining 28 yen right there. Then, chilling out completely, I returned to my room and started using my phone for work. I found 2 part-time jobs. One was a delivery boy job on a food app where I could deliver food in my free time, bro. And the other was a completely fixed and solid part-time job at Zhangzhou Amusement Park, which had a totally different vibe. This fixed job was inside a huge escape room named Alluring Ghost Smile, which gave off a killer destructive vibe just hearing it. Boss, I had to become an NPC hanging from cables. It was a bit dangerous and difficult, sure, but its earnings were truly chaotic and very strong, making my day, boss. A full 380 yen a day, besides good money, The real reason for choosing this place was that working here was going to be total fun. The park operates 6 days a week with 1 day off. On that day, I can enjoy all the rides for free with my staff card without paying a single coin, bro! And I won't have the hassle of standing in line either. Meaning, earn money and enjoy for free too. This turned into a solid win-win situation. It was a game-changing deal. I was managing both play and work together. And before I knew it, a month passed by. On payday, seeing a full 10,000 yen truly made me happy. Seeing so much yen balance in my bank card brought a cunning smile to my face. And my heart was blooming! I truly have a strong love for money. Hunger and money also love me just as much. It comes flying to me from all directions. I said this to myself twice, then put the phone in the locker and started putting on clothes. Luring Ghost Smile is a 5-story, very dangerous and giant escape room that runs on a strict booking system where there is absolutely no place for useless crowds. This place provides top-class entertainment with an entry fee of 588 yen. You have to play in teams, and the number of people in your group must not be less than required. The tickets are so expensive because they conduct at most 1 dangerous session a day, bro. The amusement park doesn't let a new group enter every hour, so that the fun of those playing inside doesn't get ruined and they remain thoroughly scared. This escape room is so large that whoever completes it in 1 day must definitely be a genius. Many players can't even finish it in 1 go, so they come back trailing behind on the 2nd or 3rd day. People who can afford to pay to play here all day have no problem blowing a little more money. And the next group's booking is confirmed only when the previous group clears the game, otherwise they have to watch all the drama comfortably from outside. Brothers, when I started working here, I played the role of a red-clothed zombie whose duty was to scare people in a few rooms on the 1st floor. Later, due to my amazing agility and dangerous talent for scaring, I can now suddenly spawn on any floor and play a strong game on everyone, boss. Sometimes, I even slip into the players' team so they can get the terrifying thrill of real fear. Today, my role is inside this group of players, a team of 30 people where everyone isn't necessarily friends with each other, as they could be strangers who were just thrown together in a group. Blending in among them as staff won't make anyone suspicious. I put on a school uniform for the game, styled my short hair, and came outside immediately. The changing rooms were built separately, and as soon as I came out, I saw other guys emerging from their rooms at the exact same time, brothers. Everyone was a complete stranger to each other. Those who were timid walked quietly with heads bowed toward the meeting point, while those who were smarter stepped forward to shake hands or approach others to start a conversation. I'm a very open-minded guy who just has to drop a few words with everyone I meet, understand, bro? In a short while, 4 boys gathered around me who were 11th grade kids from Jingwon High School, speaking very politely as if they were very gentle. "Shi-kun, your surname is Shi. Are you from that famous Shi family of Kitagami and Jiangqi?" I raised my hand immediately to stop his useless nonsense. "Hold on, bro. A real legend's identity should never be questioned. Asking too much is like being disrespectful, right? I don't think that's the case at all, bro. But don't worry, we've already decided that you're our brother." I smiled loudly, and seeing their shocked faces, I quickly hid my smile again. "Boss? Damn it! I accidentally showed that dangerous NPC terrifying smile. This little game hasn't even started yet, brothers. It's not right to scare these kids already." The 4 of them started looking at each other in panic. Furuya Shizen, who had just said he would become my brother, immediately shrank back a few meters from me in fear. This cheap guy's face is glowing like the sun, as if he really saw a ghost. Why was that smile so ferocious? It gave off a vibe, just like those dangerous school bullies. But I'm no weak school bully. My level is completely different. Setting aside that weird and terrifying demonic laugh at the start, my behavior was completely friendly. As soon as we reached the meeting point, I had awesome fun with those boys, creating such chaos with the 4 of them that everyone became convinced I was also a brilliant student from that same large, top-class Jingwon school. Everyone thought the 5 of us came here together, so later when I pull my cunning move, no one will have even a shred of suspicion toward me. After all, the main job of a business is to print money, but if the crowd increases too much, the fun gets ruined. We can't keep 5 people right here guarding the same spot. Looking at those characters, that terrifying smile was about to appear on my face again. Thank goodness I stopped myself just in the nick of time. I lowered my head, rubbed my cheek, and began looking intently at those people standing outside. It's already 10 a.m. Why hasn't this game started yet? I couldn't wait any longer. The staff member glanced at me and couldn't hide that strange smile on his face either. Please wait quietly for a little longer. Some players are stuck badly in heavy traffic, but they are about to arrive here in around 20 minutes. As an apology, they have covered the entire ticket cost for everyone present here today. Hearing this, a few very rich and powerful players standing there let out surprised screams. Bro, that's no ordinary weak player. He seems like a literal god of wealth. We'll wait comfortably. Even another hour is fine. Just tell them there's no rush. Anyone who can blow money like water for so many tickets must have a terrifying and chaotic status. Even if some guests present here are very rich, they won't make a scene by acting foolishly like that. There's no point in unnecessarily clashing with wrong and powerful people, as the loss is greater. With complete respect and immense curiosity, I tugged at Furuya Shizen's shirt sleeve. My face filled with praise and a desire to know, dude, this is truly insane, blowing millions of yen like pieces of paper. Shizen, can you guess who this really is? Hearing my awesome question, Furuya Shizen actually started thinking very deeply and seriously. After racking his brain for a long time, he named a few uncertain names. Maybe Shima Keiko of the Sumida family, or Kujo Weiwei of the Kujo family, or could it be Yanagi Risa of the Ryu clan, bro? They often chill outside together and blow blind money. Muji thinks the chances of suddenly bumping into those rich ladies here are like finding a needle in a haystack. Shizen, I don't think so at all. Kids from those 3 largest and most dangerous families don't even show up at ordinary cheap banquets. Furuya Shizen brushed it off. I was just taking a guess. It's not like I know 100% for sure. All right, fine. They ended that useless topic right there. What are some really awesome spots for good food, drinks, and hanging out in Jiangzhou? This escape room probably won't end in one day, so let's make a great 2-day plan. Then day after tomorrow, we'll chill a bit and take a break. And the day after that, how about we go to the forest garden to take awesome pictures? Hearing this sounds fun. I'm in with you guys too. Muji and Shinpei shouted together. We also think this plan is rock solid. Little one, what do you think about this? Do you want to come with us? If you have any money issues, we'll happily cover all the expenses. It felt as if Furuya Shizen had really fallen for me big time. I immediately ran a quick calculation in my head. That day was also my day off, and I had already drained myself riding all the park's rides. So now I really needed to expand my territory a bit. No need for any free favors, my dudes. Actually, I hold a professional photography license. Just keep me as the personal cameraman for this small group of ours. You guys pay for my ticket, I'll bring my camera, and I'll give each of you 30 super awesome top-class edited photos. The rest will be normal raw files, and there won't be any album. Say, shall I consider the deal locked, brothers? What do you guys think? Sounds good, right? Although technically speaking, they were still paying money for me. However, I felt really good about this fair deal rather than taking their free charity, so this method was very right. While we were talking, those latecomers casually strolled inside as if they were walking in their own garden, and suddenly the entire lobby fell dead silent. As soon as Muji saw those 5 glowing faces, his breath hitched. My bro, Shizen, you actually guessed 3 people completely right. Bro, are you some huge guru or a mystic? Did Furuya Shizen roll his eyes? This is called being a truly wise and knowledgeable person, not some crazy phantom mystic Muji. Do you even know how to speak properly? I looked toward that dense crowd. I still couldn't match everyone's names with their faces, but my eyes got locked onto one girl. She was the exact same girl I saw at Fashion Week a few days ago. Her aura was truly chaotic and mind-blowing. A total fairy vibe with a very sharp, regal grace like some major princess. Her calm nature and bookish aura felt so totally lethal that taking one's eyes off her was completely impossible. The tough guy melted. My bro, I gently tugged at Furuya Shizen's sleeve. Listen up, Shizen. Who is that second girl on the left side, man? Her aura looks truly mind-blowing and dangerous. Furuya Shizen came very close to me and whispered in my ear. He told me in my ear that she is the top girl of the Sumida family, Sumida Shi. She is the elder sister of Shima Keiko, one of the 4 largest and most ferocious houses in Jiangzhou. She is an angel, but her attitude is very heavy. She also goes to Jingwan High. So if you see her, stay far away from her. In Jingwan, there are some completely crazy and fanatical guys who formed a dangerous squad to protect her. And whichever guy dares to get too close to Sumida Shi, his reputation usually gets trashed and he gets beaten up real bad. Shinpei muttered annoyedly, in anger. Shizen, leave that crazy squad aside, man. Anyway, in Jingwan, there is no shortage of domesticated fools like them. Should you really have paid attention to such nonsense? Whether I should have paid attention or not, now you've heard it. Interrupting, I said, "This is great. Come on, let's exchange WeChat after the game. Now that we are brothers, there should be no useless formality in maintaining brotherhood. If there is any major and fun drama, definitely tell me. I want to hear everything, and I love this kind of stuff. I will never get bored of such things." Musen smiled very devilishly and said, "Curiosity killed the cat. Aren't you afraid of getting wiped out one day by knowing too much?" It seemed that all the players had arrived there by now. The game was just about to start. Before entering the escape room, every person present there was handed a black blindfold to tie over their eyes. Tying their blindfolds, they all lined up and went inside. Those high-status people like Sumida Shi, Shima Keiko, Kujo Weiwei, and Yanagi Risa had intentionally decided not to wear the game uniform because the clothes they wore were specially tailored for them, with heavy prices ranging from thousands to hundreds of thousands. Those who didn't know their real status didn't dare to stand behind them or grab their clothes either, because they feared that if any damage accidentally occurred, they wouldn't be able to compensate for it. And those who knew their status didn't dare to venture anywhere near them either. After all, they were all still just students. Even though they knew these people print blind money, there was no need to lick their boots. Everyone knew they would never catch their eye, so instead of risking falling in their estimation through pointless small talk, it was better to quietly stay in their own place far away. This way, everyone could stay completely chill and have fun. You really have a lot of guts. But do you really want to do that useless stunt to steal the spotlight? Not at all, man. The group debated this for only a short while, and then finally decided to let those rich ladies go first, while everyone else would follow 1 meter behind. Since there was more than one guy, there was no issue with 2 people leading the team. After the entire plan was set sharply, we took our final positions, and I quietly went and stood at the very end of the line. "Boss!" Furuya Shizen was initially thinking of protecting me, but he turned out to be a total coward himself, man. Because this alluring ghost smile room had been at the top for the past month. It is considered the scariest escape room in the city. And he truly didn't have the courage to go to the back, so I started my fake acting right in front of him. I lowered my head and said to Furuya Shizen in a cracked, terrified voice, "Shizen, don't worry at all. I'm not scared. I will save all of you." Furuya Shizen stared down at my trembling hand resting on his arm, which was shaking violently, and after thinking and hesitating a bit, he ultimately couldn't muster the courage to move to the back at all, saying, "Little one, if you're terrified, just stay quietly close to me." Everyone there blindfolded their eyes, and the group started moving inside. Initially, a little light was still seeping in through the edges of the blindfold, and even without seeing the path ahead clearly, everyone's steps moved forward firmly until they actually entered that pitch-black zone where the cold air inside that terrifying room touched their skin, giving them severe goosebumps all over their bodies. When fear settles deep in the heart, every person, whether boy or girl, naturally starts trembling. But I was definitely not among those cowards, hearing those terrifying loud screams echoing up ahead. A very dangerous and utterly shameless dark smile finally crept onto my face hidden in the dark, which was hard to hold back. "Hello, my sweet little children. Your daddy is coming to give you heaps of his dangerous love." Haha, hearing this, Furuya Shizen suddenly spun around violently and almost knocked me down. "Little one, did you just laugh suddenly? You just made a loud laughing sound, didn't you? Tell the truth." I regained my balance, but how could I admit this so easily? I said, "Not at all, Shizen. Stop joking." I didn't hear any laughing sound. I said this while extending my hand to grab his shoulder. Furuya Shizen screamed loudly out of fear again. What was that? What just touched me? Bro, seriously, this guy is totally terrified. I immediately answered in my voice, "Shizen, it's me. Yes, it's me. I'm also terrified. You just brushed off my hand and I got left behind at the very back. I have absolutely no idea who else is around me." Hearing my words, Furuya Shizen calmed down a little and quietly started moving forward with the group, but I received no answer. Only the sound of footsteps fading away could be heard. I got completely confused about what was going on. I cleverly slid my blindfold back a bit to peek. The light of the escape room was filled with a faint red and blue mist, along with a horrific darkness, due to which nothing was visible, and some spots were so dark that there wasn't a single ray of light. But my eyesight was extremely sharp, so everything appeared crystal clear to me. F. Furuya Shizen was holding the hand of one of my teammates, leading them forward. I went quiet there for a moment and thought, "Man, Shizen, it's not at all that I intentionally wanted to terrify you." Whenever a group member got separated from those ahead, the one left behind was guaranteed to encounter one of my ferocious ghost teammates. At this time, among the entire staff, only my face looked like a normal human, while everyone else looked like nothing short of a terrifying demon in this faint light. When the staff guided everyone to their designated positions, they quietly slipped away. Everyone held their breath out of fear and waited, with only the eerie sounds of ghost winds echoing in their ears. Why is it so quiet here, man? Can we remove our blindfolds now? Just as someone said this, the terrifying sound of crackling thunder suddenly echoed through the entire room, and an announcement sounded, "Players, please remove your blindfolds." One said, "Awesome, boss." Finally, I also faked acting as if I had just removed my blindfold, and in the very next second, screams echoed one after another. Ear-splitting, terrifying sounds were coming from all directions. My teammates had scared the guests so much that they were falling onto the floor, totally terrified and trembling violently. Before they could create a major mess out of fear, all the NPCs immediately pulled back. By creating a mess, I mean swinging arms and legs wildly in the air or running blindly without looking, which could easily cause them considerable injury. So the NPCs had to vanish from there instantly. Often someone faints right at the start, so seeing that the people in this group were only screaming and running while their faces looked relatively fine was a huge relief. I quickly scanned the entire area, and then, putting on a strong display of trembling, I ran swiftly toward Furuya Shizen and picked him up while his face had turned ghost white, flailing his hands and feet while sitting on the floor. "Shizen, bro, that was extremely terrifying! Are you okay?" Furuya Shizen's lips were still trembling heavily, and it took him a long time to say anything. I gripped his shoulders tightly. "Shizen, can you hear me?" He took 2 long, deep breaths. "Little one, weren't you holding my hand just now? How did you suddenly turn into a scary NPC in the blink of an eye?" As soon as I took off my blindfold, I almost saw him. My poor guy just had terrible luck. I widened my eyes like an innocent and honest person. I don't know myself. You pushed me, and when I called out, you didn't answer. When I took off my blindfold, there was no one around there. I was also terrified. Then someone pulled my hand and I thought it was you, so I just kept holding it and walking forward. That must have been him. That other side took full advantage of the opportunity and messed with us. I nodded in agreement, looked around very carefully, and then pulled him along to reunite with Muji, Musun, and Shinpei. Muji and Musun seemed in relatively okay shape, but Shinpei was completely terrified. Muji was gently patting his shoulder to comfort him. I stood quietly on one side and just watched everything. As soon as Shinpei normalized a bit, someone had already started searching for clues. Everyone has already gotten to work. We should also lend them a hand. Shinpei's eyes were already bloodshot as he spoke. "Shizen? Muji? I'm feeling a bit scared, man. I don't think I can play further. But we've already come this far. When school opens, you can't tell all your friends that we turned into cowards and ran away the moment we crossed the door, right? But man, stop it. No more buts. Once you've started the game, you have to complete it too." Eventually, the group began examining their surroundings. Furuya, Shizen, Muji, and Musen formed a solid team together to protect Shinpei right then. That guy stood up, bowed his neck, and timidly went to stand right in the middle of the line. This alluring ghost smile escape room is not the type where everyone stays together, solving puzzles and unlocking rooms one after another. Rather, the system intentionally sets dangerous traps at times so players get stranded in different areas, scattering into small groups of 2 or 3 so they have to find their way alone. I had already set this entire mischievous plan in my clever mind. Amidst this chaotic mess, I cleverly trapped Furuya, Shizen, and the rest in a room where a faint light was coming through, boss, and on the other side, I put on a great act of stepping into a trap, suddenly vanishing into that horrific, thick darkness. I slipped into the staff passageway, secretly quickly changed into my ghost costume, and started making my move forward, jumping and leaping through that terrifying darkness. Crawling in a scary manner, I went straight up to the players' faces, chasing them around while letting out a blood-curdling, dangerous laugh. What kind of terrifying disaster is this now? Is this even a real human? How can someone crawl backwards so fast? Seeing his terrifying speed, my brain went numb. Oh damn, he flew straight upward. Mommy, save me! This disaster is coming straight toward us. Run away from here. Stay away from me. Crap, we can't escape from here now. Chen slapped me so I would come back to my senses. My legs were trembling completely from fear. In reality, I wasn't just scaring those cowards. In between, I was dropping hints to give them crucial information. Whether those clueless people understood my words or not didn't matter to me at all. Among the players, there were some complete, coward, useless people present, but some players were extremely dangerous and daring. Shima Keiko's group clearly enjoyed taking risks. When they saw me charging rapidly toward them, they didn't run. Instead, they stepped forward themselves, surrounded me, and asked, "Are you a boy or a girl? Kiyosumi, what are you thinking?" "This is definitely a guy. No girl can crawl this fast." I slowly raised my head, my long, tangled hair hiding my face. I gave a horrific, wide smile in which my sharp teeth glistened in the faint green light. Then, in the very next second, my true, dangerous, ferocious form came out. I cleared my throat, suddenly struck powerfully with my sharp claws, and leaped forward rapidly. Shima Keiko ducked to the side immediately to dodge. By the time she turned around, I had vanished from there. She rubbed her eyes, turned on her flashlight, and started searching everywhere like crazy. Right behind her was a wall. She extended her hand and touched that wall. That wall was as solid and hard as stone. Where on earth did that thing go suddenly? Didn't you guys see anything? We have no idea at all. It felt as if he vanished into thin air from his spot. Why are you talking about such scary things? How can a human vanish into thin air suddenly? There must be a secret passage here. Let's go find it, otherwise I won't be able to sleep tonight. Meanwhile, I had already been pulled high up via cables, sitting hidden in the dark above. I quietly pulled out my mirror and put those terrifying lenses in my eyes to hide my pupils. After positioning myself perfectly, I widened my eyes so only the white part was visible, avoiding their gaze. I suddenly leaped straight downward, hanging in the air as I lightly tapped Kujo Weiwei's shoulder, asking, "Were you looking for me for so long?" Kujo Weiwei froze completely and turned her head back in fear. In front of her was a hideous, dried-up gray face, and most terrifying were those two eerie, strange eyes that were completely white with fresh red blood dripping from their corners. My jump scare plan to terrify them suddenly hit in a rock-solid manner, out of sheer terror. She let out a horrific scream and backed away rapidly while flailing her hands and feet like crazy. Then, swinging momentum with the rope, I took a powerful swing and hung right next to Kumoi Wakana. My body was limp and numb as if I had no bones left inside me. Suddenly, a blast of icy wind passed through there, and a horrific shadow came to stand right in front of her. They both stared at each other in total numbness. Kumoi Wakana lost her wits completely. Not even a scream came out of her mouth. She squeezed her eyes shut tightly and fainted right on the spot. Yanagi Risa quickly extended her hands to catch her, backing away with a pale face. At that moment, their minds went blank as they wondered, was that miracle standing in front of them, really a human? Shima Keiko stepped forward in full swag to protect her coward friends. Clenching her lips, she shone the flashlight straight onto my face, showing my dirty teeth. I gave a huge killer smile. In the flashlight's beam, those sharp teeth glowing green looked even more ferocious and dangerous. I twisted my neck weirdly and said, "Big sister, do you want to play with me? Playing with these flickering lights is what I love the most." I said, "Take a photo, then take another photo so we have heaps of sharp, beautiful pictures." Suddenly, all the lights in that secret room began flickering frantically. Even that flashlight held in Shima Keiko's hand began flickering along with them. Now her fear truly peaked because she had bought that flashlight from outside. Driven by terror, her hands moved even faster than her brain, and she immediately threw that flashlight away. As soon as that flashlight slammed onto the ground, it shattered terribly into pieces. Crack! The moment it broke, a pitch-black, horrific darkness engulfed that entire secret room without making a single sound. I quietly stood right behind Shima Keiko and said, "It hurts so much. Why hasn't anyone come to save me until now?" "Big sister, will you come to save me? My name is Tanmeli. They have all arrived. They are just about to reach." At that location, a very painful scream echoed as if someone were enduring a horrific and deadly torture. Shima Keiko began to tremble violently with fear, and goosebumps broke out all over her body. She froze on the spot, completely numb. "Big sister, are you behind me?" Shima tightly gripped the bridge railing, took a deep breath, and said, "I am right here. This place is indeed a bit scary." Just moments ago, her nerves had been completely shattered as well. My live horror scene act was now over. I immediately slipped away from there, removed my makeup, quickly changed clothes, and sent all those photos over. I had wrapped up all this chaos in under 10 minutes. After regaining my composure, I did not return to the room where Furuya Shizen Seiji's group was trapped. Instead, I entered another area to solve puzzles. Joining forces with other players, I finally showed everyone the path to rescue Furuya Shizen Seiji's group. Bright light always gives people a sense of absolute peace and comfort. Furuya Shizen Seiji's group was not scared at all. They were sitting together comfortably and looking for clues at their leisure. However, the puzzles in their hands were truly extremely dangerous. They had not found the correct answers to those puzzles yet. Just then, the door opened suddenly, and the people standing outside began to converse very cautiously with one another. Quote, "Hey, brother, are there scary jump scares inside?" Furuya Shizen Seiji and Kinoshita shook their heads. "There are no ghosts, but the puzzles here are really hard. We haven't been able to fully solve them yet." Hearing that there were no jump scares inside, everyone started heading in one after another. I heard that they had not fully solved the puzzles yet, so I deliberately went in last and closed the gate. After locking the door tightly, I began pounding frantically on the door from the outside. How did this door suddenly lock? I haven't even made it inside yet. I'm scared. Hearing this, more than a dozen people inside the room were badly startled. The room lights were still on, so those people quickly relaxed. Furuya Shizen Seiji handed the piece of paper in his hand to a newcomer who had just arrived. This voice sounds just like Jiasi. Maybe he is trapped outside. "Kinoshita, I'll go check. You and the rest just focus on solving this puzzle." Shijin made total sense. Things will be easier if we work together. Everyone, put in your full effort. Use your strength or your brain. Furuya Shizen Seiji pushed through the crowd, reached the door, and shouted loudly, "Xiaoxi! Hey, Xiaoxi! Is that you, standing outside?" Standing outside, I could hear his voice clearly. I rubbed my face thoroughly with both hands and said, "Yes, Shijin, it's me!" Quote, "Xiaoxi, don't panic at all. We are all safe inside here. As soon as we solve this puzzle together, we will come out immediately. I will stand right near the door with you, so don't be afraid." "Yes," I replied softly in a weak, frail voice. I pulled my knees up and curled into a ball against the door. I looked truly pitiful. Suddenly, a few strangers who were wandering around stumbled into this deserted area and saw me sitting on the floor like that. Thinking I was some ghostly imposter, they asked me in terror, "Hey, are you a real human or a terrifying ghost?" Hearing this, a menacing smile almost crept onto my face, but I quickly suppressed that fierce laugh inside. I put on a completely pitiful vibe, looked up, and said, "I am a player too. All my friends got lost and are trapped inside there. I am too terrified to go inside alone." Just then, a few more people emerged from the darkness. These girls also looked completely exhausted and disheveled after wandering for a long time. Kumoe Wakana had regained consciousness now. She was sitting pressed tightly against Shima, peeking outside intermittently. Fear and shock were clear on her face. Their nerves were completely shot, making it obvious that they had not forgotten the previous terrifying ordeal. I was secretly staring at them, pretending to be completely clueless while remaining stubborn, sitting motionless on the floor. Shima Keiko was perhaps the bravest girl in the entire group. She walked up to me and reached out to push the door behind me. "Was this door open earlier?" I nodded my head. It was open, but just as I was about to go inside, the door suddenly swung back and slammed shut very loudly. After that, no matter what anyone did or how hard I pushed, it wouldn't open. Shima Keiko merely uttered a sound and raised her hand to knock on the door. "Hey, did you find any clues or hints inside?" The people inside looked at each other with blank minds because they hadn't solved anything yet either. Thinking that more people meant more help, they copied the puzzle onto another fresh sheet of paper and slid the paper along with a pen through the crack under the door. "We have passed the puzzle outside. Take a good look at it. This one is extremely terrifying." Just then, something sharp poked me hard from that door crack. Scared, I immediately backed away and looked around alertly. Shima Keiko looked at me and sneered. "You are such a big coward, yet you still want to play." I blinked, stared back at her quickly, and then shuffled further away. Shima Keiko picked up the paper from the floor, unfolded it completely, and handed it straight to her. "Shima, big sister, this is really quite head-wrecking." "Let me take a look," Shima said, taking the paper into her hands. Her fingers were extremely slender, shining like silver in the candlelight. Those hands were indeed beyond beautiful. I couldn't stop myself from muttering, "These hands are finer than a top model's." I stood up, leaned my back against the wall next to the door, and quietly waited for them to solve the puzzle and open the door. This group had come fully prepared. The puzzle that had stumped the large crowd was easily solved by them within 10 minutes. Since the door had to be unlocked from the inside, Shima Keiko slid the answer sheet back through the crack, and the person inside immediately entered the password to unlock it. But just a moment later, a terrifying scream echoed through the entire place. I hunched my shoulders tightly in fear, and my lips turned completely pale. Shima Keiko stepped forward, grabbed my hand firmly, shoved me toward Kumoe Wakana, and said, "Don't scream for no reason. Just follow quietly behind Kumoe Wakana. We are brave and tough. If any ghost shows up, we will stop it for you. But if you run and scream like a lunatic, don't say we left you behind." Frightened, I just nodded repeatedly. Besides, we weren't particularly close friends, so I deliberately avoided touching them, deriving amusement simply from holding onto a corner of my shirt. The screaming in that room lasted for a full 3 minutes before stopping. Then Shima Keiko pushed the door open, and this time it moved very smoothly. The room that was bright earlier now only had a flickering light, making it difficult to see anything beyond faint shadows. Shima Keiko went inside directly with Ryuruyen to inspect, and then called up to us loudly from near the second-floor stairs, "Big sister, there is no danger here! The correct way up is right here!" "Everyone run straight over here quickly. We are going upstairs through this path now." Yanagi Megumi moved forward first. Shima Keiko turned to look at me and said, "You walk ahead of me." I nodded, stepped fearfully ahead of her, and followed behind Yang. Just as we reached the middle of that dark room, several ghostly figures suddenly lunged out, flailing their arms and legs wildly while making strange, terrifying animalistic noises. A faint scream escaped my lips, and I immediately covered my mouth, shivering with fear. I froze on the spot, trembling violently. Shima Keiko hesitated for just a moment, then stepped up and forcefully shoved away the ghosts coming toward me. I stood there in complete shock without doing anything. As soon as all those ghosts retreated, I gasped for breath and collapsed straight onto the floor. Kumoe Wakana's condition was not much better than mine. She was only looking a bit better because she was holding Shima Keiko's hand tightly. Are you all right? If you're scared, you can scream freely, brother. We all have earplugs. Earlier, I couldn't even scream out of fear, which made me look pitiful. I'm okay. My voice trembled violently. I pulled a tissue from my pocket to wipe my sweat and slowly stood up. Shima Keiko immediately withdrew her hand, her voice stern and fierce. Let's move forward quickly! Yanagi Megumi showed the way, and they all managed to reach the stairs smoothly. A light kept flickering along that broken, terrifying passage, repeatedly illuminating everyone's frightened faces clearly. Everyone just keep walking quietly, sticking close to the wall. As we walked, that light suddenly went out completely. The dense, terrifying darkness heightened the horrifying, suffocating atmosphere of fear. I secretly pressed a hidden button on the wall, and the very next moment, a man's terrifying wail echoed through the passage. Help me! Please save me! No! Don't come near me! Frightened, Tachibana Hisako stared into the empty, horrifying darkness ahead from the stairs. She climbed 2 steps higher on the stairs to the left. Kumoi Wakana immediately stepped forward, grabbed her hand tightly in fear, and said anxiously, Hisako, don't go any further! Wait quietly until there's some light ahead, then walk. But what if the lights never come back on? Kumoi Wakana remained silent for a few seconds, then whispered a wild idea. Then can we bend down and crawl up slowly from the very bottom? Tachibana Hisako bent down, and supporting Kumoi Wakana, the two began moving up very slowly. After taking just 2 steps up the stairs, she asked in a very low voice, Are you still all right? Yanagi Megumi was fumbling around in that dense darkness out of fear. Yes, big sister, I'm completely fine. I'm holding Chingshu's hand. I wasn't asking you, I was asking that boy, Yanagi Megumi teased in a drawn-out tone. Oh, so you're asking about that boy's condition? She just wanted to lighten the fearful atmosphere a bit, but no one backed her up, and I remained silent as well. In the darkness, there was no need to act anymore, and a mischievous, devilish smile played on my lips. Without making a sound, I ran swiftly toward the upper floor, completely shattering Chiba Sayaka's composure, then quietly returned to my spot, lay down, and put on a full act of being unconscious. Chiba Sayaka couldn't see a thing in the dark. She just felt as though a cold hand had touched her neck. She screamed loudly in fear, drawing everyone's attention to her. Ryu Ruyan asked her anxiously, What happened, Chingshu? Why are you screaming? Chiba Sayaka rubbed her neck in frustration. Something just touched me. How can those people move around so easily in this pitch-black darkness? Maybe they have night vision goggles. There's no sound to their footsteps, and they walk so lightly. They must have had strict dance training. Everyone knows these game staff are just ordinary people in costumes, so there's no need to panic over every little thing. Shima looked down calmly and thoughtfully, saying, Hey, blockhead, can you hear our voice? If you can hear us, open your mouth and say something. I kept my eyes closed and lay like a statue because an unconscious person cannot speak. I had to maintain my flawless acting. Seeing this, even Shima froze and stayed silent. Since I was the only guy there, they couldn't just abandon me. After a brief, intense silence, the lights began flickering wildly again. Kumoi Wakana saw that I was still lying there like a corpse, so she let go of Shima's hand and said, Big sister, I think he's completely paralyzed with fear. Let me go check on him. Shima looked at her and said, Your hands are still trembling, coward. Let me go. I was lying quietly in a deserted corner of the stairs where a scary pile of blood-stained white bones was placed on the floor, and my luck was so bad that I was resting right on top of them. Shima walked up a few steps and bent down to pat me gently. But before her hand could reach me, the white cloth behind me suddenly flew into the air, and a fierce, demonic face emerged from it. That strange monster bared its filthy teeth and lunged at Shima. Her hand reacted faster than her brain, and without thinking, she landed a heavy punch straight on the monster's face. That poor character actor had no intention of actually attacking. Holding his eye, he began crying in pain. Didn't I say not to hit the characters? How could your heart bear to punch me so ruthlessly? Shima pulled her hand back in embarrassment and said, Sorry, that was just an accident. That big monster character stepped back slowly and complained to me through his earpiece, weeping. You, brother? That pretty girl hit me so hard. You have to take full revenge on that witch for me." My face was completely covered by that white cloth, making it difficult to breathe. "Keep your mouth shut. I feel like beating you up too." Shima felt a bit embarrassed, and seeing that the big monster was no longer bothering them, she breathed a sigh of relief. She pulled the white cloth completely off me. "Hey boy, wake up. There's still a lot left in the script. You can't stay unconscious forever." Taking advantage of the opportunity, I blinked and slowly opened my eyes. After appearing clueless and confused for a few seconds, I sat up abruptly, looking around with a terrified expression. Some ferocious creature just grabbed me tightly. Since that scary man was gone, I relaxed my body and instantly flashed a dazzling smile. "Thank you all so much for not leaving me stranded here alone." Under those flickering lights, my smile looked as though someone had just narrowly escaped a massive, dangerous catastrophe. Shima stumbled slightly, but she quickly composed herself and said with style, "Let's move forward now." I stood up wobbly and dusted off my pants. My clothes were still brushing against the edge of the wall. As I moved forward slowly, my mind was racing. Shima looked at the pile of white cloth, thinking she would find that guy later to apologize. The levels of these secret rooms were constantly changing, and the second-floor challenges were not that terrifying or difficult. 2 whole hours passed like this, and finally, everyone reached the final and main stage. In this intense round, I ran into Furuya Shinseiji's group, and I immediately rushed over to hug them enthusiastically. "I'm so glad to see you all alive." Furuya Shinseiji was equally thrilled to see me. "Xiaoxi, are you all right?" Earlier, on those scary first-floor stairs, a terrifying man suddenly popped out in front of us. We were completely terrified and ran straight here. I nodded, then pointed toward Shima's group, who were solving puzzles nearby. I met them right outside the door. When the door opened and I couldn't see you anywhere, I had to stick with them to clear all the stages so far. Shima Keiko overheard this, and a sly smile appeared on her face. This coward only knew how to be scared the entire way. When it came time to actually do something, he didn't help at all. He couldn't even solve a single puzzle, yet he stands tall and lies about clearing all the stages. I secretly caught those strange expressions on Shima Keiko's face and chuckled inwardly, but I kept up my clueless act on the outside. Furuya Shinseiji saw clearly who all those rich people were, and a gossip-loving gleam appeared in his eyes. He leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Xiaoxi, your luck is insanely wild. I can't believe you bumped into that VIP group. Doesn't Shima look like a heavenly goddess and extraordinarily beautiful? And Shima Keiko, isn't she always jumping around like a monkey, acting crazy? Doesn't Ryu Ruyan look completely quiet and gentle? And Yanagi Megumi, doesn't she look so arrogant, as if she has millions of yuan in her pocket?" I blinked, acting innocent, and said, "I really don't know." The whole way, so many fierce characters targeted only me that my brain is completely numb and my fuses are blown. Then that's totally lame, man. But I have to admit, this secret room is truly terrifying and dangerous. When you're constantly roaming in fear, you don't have the mental energy left to stare at others. Furuya Shinseiji thought deeply for a moment and lowered his voice again. "Listen carefully, Xiaoxi. If you can somehow get their WeChat later, you definitely have to add them. Keep talking to them so you can secure a job after finishing your studies. You won't have to worry about finding a good job." I also lowered my voice calmly and asked in a serious tone, "Will the salary be more than 6,000 yuan?" I was browsing the internet that day and saw an expert mention that the average salary nowadays is 5,999 yuan. I don't have any greed to make blind money, I just don't want to be a burden to anyone. My dear friend Furuya Shinseiji slapped the back of my head hard and said in full seriousness, "Jiangcheng is a top-class, expensive city. What can you even manage with just 6,000 yuan? Do you intend to live in a basement and eat cheap boxed meals every day? If you manage to get into the main office of the Shen Group, the lowest salary there will at least be this much." As he spoke, he secretly held up 3 fingers right in front of my face. I took a wild guess and muttered, "A full 300,000 yuan?" Furuya Shinseiji went completely numb seeing my reaction. How could the salary be that high? It must be 3,000. If 300,000 was the lowest, that would be insane. I looked around alertly before whispering into his ear, "Seiji, I will put all my effort into getting their WeChat numbers." My friend Furuya Seiji raised his hand in the air to boost my morale. After about 10 minutes of heavy effort, everyone finally cracked the code to access the upper floor. Shima Keiko came over, glaring nastily at me and said with disgust, "Now that you've found your friends, stick with them quietly. Staying together is only slowing us down." Furuya Seiji couldn't stop himself from glaring at her, as if anyone would follow them around like a dog. He grabbed me with his left hand and pulled Qinfeng with his right, saying stylishly, "Come on, brother, let's quickly clear this stage's game and then head straight home to rest comfortably." I agreed without any extra drama and left with him, my attitude crystal clear. Then Shima Keiko shrugged and quietly went back to stand by Shima's side. Shima glinted at her and asked, "What was that about?" "Nothing, just went to tell that smart Alec to stop following us, and those cowards left through the narrow lane without saying a word." Then Shima said calmly and stylishly, "The path is open, let's go too." Upon entering the third floor, the first room was brightly lit. Since the game had run so long, they couldn't let players starve all day, so food was distributed according to the exact player count, featuring a solid balance of meat and vegetables for everyone, along with alcohol and fruit as well. I was thinking whether I would die of starvation, but upstairs food was provided in abundance. Anyway, first I'll go and find the bathroom. I heard there's one on every floor, but I haven't seen one anywhere yet. Hey, be a little careful, who knows? As soon as you enter, some ghostly hand might grab you. Hearing this, that coward's face turned completely white. The staff here wouldn't be that cruel, right? Can't say! It's possible that as soon as you enter, you might pee yourself out of fear. Terrified, that guy immediately grabbed his friend's hand. "Come on, brother, come with me to find it." The bathroom was located on the far left side of the restaurant on the third floor. Several players entered trembling violently and checked every single stall so that they could relieve themselves peacefully without any fear. I also had an urgent need to go to the washroom. I asked, "Why, Seiji, are you guys coming inside with me too?" when those slacker guys flatly refused to come along. I headed straight to the washroom alone. You might be thinking how I reached such an exact location so directly without wandering around, because there were huge signboards in the restaurant, and even a blind person could see them easily. In the washroom of the dining area, there wouldn't be any unnecessary NPCs to scare people anyway, but whether an atmosphere of terror would be created there or not depended solely on my mood. After finishing my business and chilling completely, my mood was absolutely fantastic. Showing my cunning mischief, I turned off all the lights in the washroom in a single stroke so that all those cowardly players sitting inside could get a completely dark and VIP-level terrifying experience. Hearing the deadly and horrifying screams of girls from the adjacent ladies' washroom, I turned all the lights back on, enjoying it fully, and quietly slipped into the men's toilet stall so that I could secretly eavesdrop on their conversation. In just a short while, Fujita Shin, Kinoshita, and D came running like crazy and shouted loudly from outside. "Hey, Xiaoxi, are you still stuck inside?" I immediately opened the stall door and peeked out with my slightly red eyes. Fujita Shin ran straight toward me with immense guilt and deep regret on his face. He said, "There was so much light in the restaurant, I thought this would be a completely safe zone. Brother, forgive me. I should have come inside with you earlier." Seeing him so serious and worried for me, I felt a strong surge of guilt inside for my unnecessary overacting. I gave a sly smile and then spoke gently to calm him down. "Hey, I'm okay, brother." No one had entered inside just now. The lights just went out suddenly. But the screaming sounds coming from the ladies' washroom really scared the hell out of me. Now that the lights are back on, everything is completely fine. Fujita Shin breathed a deep sigh of relief and said, "All right then, that's great news, brother. Is your work done?" I said, "Yes, brother, it's done." "Then hold these things of mine. I need to go too. Now that I'm here, I might as well relieve myself." He was still holding a plate of fruit in his hand. I nodded and went to wash my hands. And as soon as he entered the toilet, I took the plate from him. Kinoshita stood there waiting for a long time, and when no scary scene appeared, he said, "Xiaoxi, I'll go inside too." I said, "Okay, brother, go ahead." As soon as both of them finished their business and came out, we all returned to the restaurant together. The girls who had just come out of the washroom were cursing the NPCs loudly, saying how heartless these people were for not even letting them use the toilet in peace. I smiled to myself and completely hid this terrifying trick of mine. Shima Keiko suddenly looked up and immediately caught my relaxed, subtle smile. Seeing that, her eyebrows flared up slightly, and she whispered to her sister, "Big sister, look over there quickly! That smart guy!" Shima Reiko completely ignored her and stayed calmly focused on her food. She had initially thought she would just eat a little to manage, but she didn't expect the food to taste so amazingly delicious. Ryurian didn't even look up, while Kamui Wakana and Yang Weiwei immediately listened to her. Under Shima Keiko's gaze and the restaurant lights, my face was shining impressively. Man, this guy really looks a bit familiar. Kamui Wakana suddenly slapped her thigh excitedly and said, "Jingshu, isn't this the same smart guy who was with us on the second floor? You even said he was very boring, but looking at him closely now, he looks totally killer." Shima Keiko's face stiffened, and her eyebrows furrowed in anger. "Are you guys kidding? Is this really that same little crybaby?" "Yes, it's definitely him," Kamui Wakana said with full confidence and firm certainty. Shima Reiko's eyes also flickered slightly, and she looked up at me. I felt her staring gaze, and when I turned around to look, it was Shima Reiko. I gave her a sweet smile, and then naturally averted my gaze, moving forward with Fujita Shin. I can enjoy staring at these beautiful goddesses anytime, but if my food gets cold, there won't be any joy left in it. That restaurant food was fantastic in color, aroma, and taste. Many times I am fully ready to become a customer myself just so I can get free, delicious food, because our staff canteen food is complete rubbish and terrible. After sitting down, I opened my lunchbox and began eating ferociously like a wild person. I was eating fast, but very politely, which was proof of my good manners. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Shima Reiko staring at me continuously from a nearby table, as if she were lost in thoughts of me. Shima Keiko suddenly snapped back to awareness, and seeing her elder sister lost in thoughts, she waved her hand and asked, "Big sister, what are you looking at over there?" Shima Reiko pulled her gaze back and said, "Oh, it's nothing special. Finish your food quickly. We still have more places to search." As soon as everyone finished eating, they returned their boxes and left to clear the next stages. I followed Fujita Shin's gang through 2 secret rooms. Amidst those NPCs, boring and useless antics, I just wandered around mindlessly. As soon as I managed to separate from Fujita Shin's gang, I immediately slipped into the staff passage to change clothes so I could start a new terrifying game of scaring people. Other NPCs always target cowardly people, jumping on whoever looks scared. But I am not like that. I enjoy shattering the composure of the brave ones. If you think of yourself as a big hotshot, then come, let me show you a vision of real terror that will make the best of them wet their pants. Real fun and satisfaction lie only in that work. In this entire crowd of players, there were 7 people who thought of themselves as very tough. Apart from Shima Reiko's trio, there were 2 other men and 2 women present. Among those 2 young guys, one was named Sugiyama Suguru, and the other was named Murata Choji, and both were best friends. I talked to the tech crew sitting in the monitoring room and told them to focus on those 2 groups whose teamwork was the most solid and whose minds worked fastest at solving puzzles. Then, combining 3D illusions with real objects, I mixed illusion and reality in such a way that their souls trembled. Seeing their faces turn completely white out of fear, I couldn't hold back my cunning smile in the dark. Yes, now comes the real fun. Leaving all my clues behind for this stage, I moved toward my next target. The others were truly about to have their world turned upside down. When I reappeared in front of Shima Keiko, I was hanging right in mid-air. Shima Keiko's face turned completely dark with anger. "Show me all your remaining useless tricks right now. I am not going to be scared of any of your drama this time." I gave a cunning smile and said, "Oh, really?" I raised my hand with style, and suddenly a fierce gust of wind blew from right behind her. That wind was so terrifying that I stood calm and motionless in mid-air, while she was forced to slide toward me inch by inch against her will. To an outsider, this entire scene looked just like an intense scene from a sci-fi film. That gust of wind was so terrifyingly strong that Shima Keiko made a face. Shima Reiko and Ryu Ruyan rushed over in shock to pull her back. Her feet were about to be uprooted from the ground, yet she kept sliding forward. The two of them changed positions and pulled her back with all their strength until they were out of breath. But that terrifying wind had its own game going on. Whichever way she went, the wind followed right behind her. Seeing this, Kumoe Wakana couldn't stop herself and said, "How is this wind so strange, big sister? What kind of trick is this that controls the wind and blows it only toward Keiko?" Shima Reiko's mind raced, but she had never seen such a strange spectacle or machine in her life before, so having no answer, she merely shook her head. "So what do we do now?" "Just wait for this fierce wind to stop." They were unable to move at all against this powerful wind. Floating in the air, I deliberately opened my voice and let out a long, terrifying laugh that sounded just like a scary monster's dubbed voice from a horror movie. Hearing that voice, Shima Keiko's blood ran cold. Although I was right in front of her, she heard that laughter coming from directly behind her. That voice was so close, as if someone were whispering in her ear. "Big sister, why don't you turn around and look once?" Mealy is standing right behind you, staring at me in utter terror. She said in her trembling voice, "Big sister, do you hear something coming from right behind me?" Shima Reiko shook her head in refusal and looked behind Shima Keiko. "I don't hear anything over there, and there's no one there either. It's just your imagination. No technology has been invented yet that can make a sound audible to only one person." The two of them were standing so close, yet she wasn't wearing anything in her ears. Shima Reiko paused for a moment and carefully checked both of Shima Keiko's ears, but truly, there was nothing there. I leaned right close to her ear and said in a low voice, "Big sister, don't stress your brain so much. Only you can hear this sweet voice of mine. This is a special gift from Mealy exclusively for you, darling." Shima Keiko was now truly terrified out of her mind. She said, "He's saying that only I can hear him. Did you guys really not hear anything at all?" Shima Reiko shook her head. Ryu Ruyan and Yang Weiwei also shook their heads. "Brother, there's no sound here. Don't try to scare us with your drama. We aren't going to be scared." Kumoe Wakana was suddenly paralyzed with fear. "Wait a minute, is this place really haunted? How can there be ghosts here?" "Don't embarrass yourselves by scaring yourselves unnecessarily. Stay completely calm. Isn't that NPC still hanging up there in the air?" I made a very quiet landing right behind Shima Reiko and gently placed my hand on her shoulder. "Big sister, were you just talking about Mealy?" Shima Reiko trembled violently. She looked at me floating in the air and turned her head back like a robot. There was no one behind her, but that heavy weight resting on her shoulder was 100% real. I whispered in her ear, "Big sister, quiet down and don't tremble like that. Mealy is going to tell you a very deep secret." She turned her head abruptly, but no one was there. I laughed and said, "I'm standing right here in front of you." She immediately looked upward, and suddenly from mid-air, wearing that blood-stained, scary dress, I made a massive leap straight toward her. Out of fear, she threw a heavy punch without thinking, but it hit thin air. I passed right through her body along with a ferocious gust of icy air, instantly instilling fear deep into her mind. "Big sister, you turned out to be extremely dangerous. We haven't even met properly, and you raised your hand right away. The two of us will definitely meet again, and then Mealy will take very good care of you." Before they could process anything, that terrifying wind stopped all of a sudden, and that entire group turned around to look together. In that soft blue light, I stood there without any shadow, seeing this terrifying scene. Shima Keiko's voice trembled terribly. "Big sister, look over there. He doesn't even have a shadow." Kumoe Wakana looked down, and right beneath my feet was deep, dark, pitch blackness, making the whole atmosphere even more terrifying. It looked as if I were floating in the dark. In the very next second, I turned into blue smoke and vanished so completely that no trace of me was left, something no one could possibly follow. Kumoe Wakana immediately hid behind Shima Reiko, squeezing herself right in the middle like a hamburger. All 5 of their faces had turned deathly white, because things that are beyond understanding are truly always the most terrifying. Where I vanished was actually a secret hatch that led straight to the first floor, but to outsiders, This scene looked like incredible magic, as if I had vanished into thin air. Coming out of the staff passage, I looked at my ankle, which I had twisted badly earlier in my haste without looking. Luckily, there was no flaw in my intense acting, and no one noticed how I actually left. But after this, I won't be able to go out and scare people myself at all. Whatever. To finish the game, I'll just play as a guest. Limping, I went toward the bathroom, washed off my makeup and red color, and then put on the Ching Ching School ghost dress. I set my hair and took the staff elevator straight to the 3rd floor. Reaching the top, I first checked the atmosphere outside to make sure there was no issue. When that secret room was empty, I quietly slipped back inside and began moving inch by inch along the wall. But as soon as I stepped outside, I bumped right into them. Colliding with those 2 players, I immediately put on a crying face. "Can I walk with you? I've got a severe sprain in my leg, really, my friend. There are still many good people left in the world. My luck is complete trash for getting injured again." Sugiyama Suguru and Murata Choji agreed immediately. They agreed to take me around with them. Those 2 guys were truly very brave. And whenever an NPC appeared, they would stand chest out in front of me. Before saving my life, they became my solid shield. They would first beat up that NPC thoroughly and then keep me right in the middle to provide strong protection. Since I was the true mastermind of this entire game, I had no right to complain. So I also walked quietly behind them, just like a ghost. After coming out of 2 rooms, they ran into Fujita Shin's group, who came running to me upon seeing me limping. They all sat down near me. "Xiaoxi, how did you get such a severe sprain in your leg, man? This looks really terrible." I lowered my eyes and explained very gently, "I made a small mistake while hiding from an NPC. Luckily, I bumped into Sugiyama Suguru and Murata Choji. They both saved me, and nothing terrifying or bad happened to me after that." Fujita Shin stood up to thank the 2 of them, as if I really belonged to his group. A bright glint came into my eyes, and I extended one hand, placing it on Fujita Shin's shoulder. "Shijin, for the rest of the game, I'll have to hang on to you like a keychain, brother. I will have to hang on you like a keyring." "Bro, this is nothing. Seriously," he said. "To be honest, sister, you being stuck here is a total mess, because I can't run everywhere. At least now you won't spread chaos." I chuckled softly and replied, "That is 100% true." Seeing me with my gang, Sugiyama Suguru immediately beat a retreat and pulled Murata Choji to another spot as well. There were already 5 people in their group, so if I had pushed into their space, it would have created an unnecessary, massive headache. Thus, taking separate paths was a sharp and solid decision. Now, there were no unknown cowards in the group, so Furuya, Shizen, Seiji, and all the other guys felt completely relaxed. Furuya Shizen Seiji placed his hand on my shoulder and comfortably settled me down on a chair. "Xiaoxi, now that you are here, see if you can figure out a trick to solve this trash," Kinoshita said, pulling out a very large sheet of paper and speaking with complete seriousness. I glanced at it and asked, "Have you guys not solved this yet?" We filled in the blank spaces, but even then, we can't make heads or tails of the password. As a staff member, I couldn't give them a direct answer. After using a bit of my brain, I suggested, "Maybe you should scour the entire room once again. Perhaps you missed something useful?" "We already searched every single corner. We found nothing." "Then, go check the remaining rooms." Sometimes useful items aren't kept in the same room, so you need to look with hawk-like precision. She's right. We have already completely wrecked this place. Come on, let's go rack our brains in the other rooms. Xiaoxi, can you walk? I gave a playful smile and raised my hands in the air. Furuya Shizen Seiji came over to me and gave me support to stand up. "Then let's go!" The whole gang was going along, laughing and bantering, when suddenly they came face to face with a terrifying ghost. Both stared at each other, and instantly, that ghost let out a blood-curdling scream and pounced toward them. Who knows where Furuya Shizen Seiji got such dangerous power, but he picked me up and ran blindly to save his life. I was completely speechless. "So, Furuya Shizen Seiji, you turned out to be this kind of guy after all." He carried me slung over him like a sack of grain for at least 200 meters, successfully dodging the ghost. Kinoshita, Kumoi Wakana, and Chiba Sayaka were utterly stunned. Seiji, why didn't you tell us you were a real beast? Furuya Shizen Seiji shyly set me down and said, I don't even know where that strength inside me came from, but honestly, Xiaoxi's weight is very light. I immediately interrupted in a stern voice. Hey, my weight is 50 kilograms right now. For my height, this weight wasn't excessive, but carrying that much load and running like crazy was truly no child's play. By the time we reached that last room on the final floor, it was already 10 p.m. the next day. There were rest areas on the 3rd and 4th floors, but except for Mai and Furuya Shizen-seiji's group, no other player rested. Even after being tossed around continuously for 2 full days, nobody felt any exhaustion. On the contrary, as soon as they reached the final stage, all of them were beyond hyped. Take Chiba Sayaka and Kumoi Wakana's gang, for example. Ever since I scared them on the 3rd floor, they hadn't stopped babbling. Didn't he say he would come back? Why hasn't he appeared in front of us yet? Is that useless ghost planning to cause a huge scene? How did he vanish into thin air? What the heck? If I don't find out his secret, I won't be able to sleep tonight. According to the map of this place, this should 100% be our absolute final room. Don't tell me that useless nonsense that he won't show up in front of us at all now. He is actually backing out and reneging on his own word, that punk. Everyone had gathered again in that last room, where the entire atmosphere was completely different, and from the inside, the place felt exceptionally quiet. The lights in the room were shining intensely. It was a clean, open space where there was not even a single trace of a scary environment anywhere. Everyone searched the entire room thoroughly together, but they found nothing there. It seemed as if there was no clue here. Now, how will we get down from here? What is the use of this useless ball? There is a rope hanging here, too. Come on, let's pull it and see! Jiangsha stepped forward, pulling it tightly with force, and shouted loudly, Don't touch that at all! The entire group's warning voice echoed through the room right alongside Jiangsha's dangerous action. With a very loud bang, all the lights in the room suddenly went out. Lightning flashed in the sky outside the window, and clouds began to thunder fiercely. Heavy rain slammed hard against the glass. This sight looked exactly like that stormy night when Yeping went to ask her father for money. Ah, don't come near me at all! Stay away from me. I feel like crying, man. Any other useless ghost will do. But to be honest, I really don't want to see Dan Mealy's cursed face. The whole group kept screaming like crazy for a long time. Aside from their own terrifying screams in the room, no real ghost was visible anywhere nearby. The door was blocked and it seemed like no one could enter. The girls were truly so scared that they closed their eyes and were trembling violently. The guys kept their eyes open, looking all around. Lightning flashed continuously outside the window, intermittently illuminating their terrified faces, and truly, there was no sign of that ghost with terrifying makeup. A moment later, someone stealthily went near the window to peek outside at the view. Oh my God! These people have done an incredible job! These thundering clouds and heavy rain look 100% real. At every flash, their hearts trembled from the terrifying sound of thunder. At this moment, there was no other guest in the amusement park, and outside, a terrifying, thick black darkness reigned everywhere. Only a faint light streamed in from the lone streetlight attached to the main school gate. Its glow was completely quiet and reassuring, like a lighthouse showing everyone the way back home. Now I remembered everything clearly. This terrifying ghost of Qing's school was actually about school bullying. The painful deaths of all those innocent students occurred solely due to the cruelty of those scum bullies. In the end, even that vile bully died like a dog, due to the terrifying, cheap traps laid by his own scum friends. The school's ghosts are divided into bullies and innocent victims, and those innocent ones are actually the ones who save the survivors and give them life. Dan Milley had mentioned earlier that the only boy who survived was the Class 12A1 monitor, who secretly used a safety rope on a terrifying, stormy night. He hung outside the window, climbed down, and escaped from that cursed school. Since then, until today, Qingsing High School No. 1 has been completely sealed. To this day, no one has had the courage to go back there. Are they really going to make us perform that dangerous stunt? I am terrified. This is the 5th floor. Who has the guts to climb down from here without any solid training? Just then, someone tried to push open the jammed window, but it didn't budge at all. A secret lock was hidden in the lower corner. Swear to God, all of this feels real and dangerous. I can clearly see that rope swinging outside, but the window is locked. Are these bastards really trying to send us straight upstairs to heaven? I don't have any courage left inside me to search for that useless password. Just let me die here in peace. Nobody save me. I won't take such a huge risk either. This place is way too high, and I've always been terrified of heights. When this is the absolute final stage, can't we just exit directly from the game? There was nothing surprising about this. In the Ghost Hall of Fame of Tringsing School, only a select few people's photos were displayed. Forget about all the mess from the previous levels. Hardly anyone would have the guts to cross this terrifying path. Is there any point in screaming to get out? Yes, absolutely. It is 100% useful. If any coward is truly terrified, they can quietly return by the same path to the first floor where our ferocious ghost friends are sitting ready and enjoying themselves. On the return journey, they will take very good care of you. This message was heard crystal clear from that blown speaker, carrying a distinct arrogance in its voice. No one here wanted to make the mistake of going back via the old route, because everyone was terrified of running into Dan Mealy again. Even though Dan Mealy was a gentle ghost who was tortured to death and was playful, his method of scaring people was truly a naked dance of terrifying death. In contrast, whoever had the guts to face Mealy was truly brave, whereas all these people were just top-tier cowards. Standing in front of the escape rope, everyone went numb, and a long silence fell. Then, those with courage began searching for clues, while the rest of the cowards stayed hidden right there. Those cowards huddled in the corner, feeling like their lives were ruined. However, while investigating, everyone found a flashlight each, and light began flashing rapidly across the room. The light of one flashlight fell upon some old photos scattered badly on the floor, while the second one turned straight toward the locker area where a strange machine stood. There, without any warning, a safety slider had suddenly dropped, and something was written on the back of many of those scattered photos lying on the floor. The group gathered all the photos and separated the ones that had writing on them. When they saw those words and the hidden faces within them, the entire group was completely stunned. Guys, what are our faces doing in these old photos? When on earth were these taken so stealthily, man? This must definitely be the work of that jinx, Dan Mealy. He was making clicking sounds back then. The bastard! He was actually secretly taking photos of us. Can we stop taking Dan Mealy's name? Just hearing his name makes me terrified. Chiba Sayaka picked up her own photo and looked at it. This photo actually turned out really sharp. Can we take it home with us after the game ends? Of course we have to take it, because these are our faces. We can't just leave them here like trash. Every single photo is incredible. Hey, who is this girl? She looks just like the dangerous queen of some apocalyptic world, boss. Furuya Shizenseiji looked over, and his eyes instantly lit up. He snatched the photo into his hand with a jerk and said, "Little C, this is actually you. Did you secretly bribe that Mealy? Only your photo looks like it has an expensive filter applied. You look like a total killer in this." I scratched the back of my neck and said, "Maybe it's the magic of my killer smartness. No matter the angle, your sister always looks incredible." Furuya Shizenseiji laughed, patted my shoulder lightly, and said, "Little CI, do you have any other friends? Give me their WeChat IDs. I just want to know how they have tolerated you and left you alive until now." My eyes sparkled like stars as I looked around at everyone. You all are my only friends, and I know why you tolerate me, because the law doesn't allow anyone to commit murder. While I was enjoying myself, Chiba Sayaka saw her photo, and her mouth began twitching with anger. Did Dan Mealy hear me cursing him thoroughly all along the way? What a mess! Bring it here, let me see too. Kumoe Wakana slid right next to Chiba Sayaka, and as soon as she saw the photo in Chiba's hand, she pressed her lips tightly together. Not because she was angry, but because the photo was extremely funny. She was afraid she wouldn't be able to control her loud laughter. In that photo, Chiba Sayaka was wearing a tight tank top that showed off her tattoo-covered arms and tattoo-covered neck, along with a thick gold chain. Paired with tight capris and shiny leather shoes, she was flashing a top-tier street thug smile at the camera. Normally, Chiba Sayaka's face was actually very beautiful and attractive, but paired with that innocent face, this dangerous gangster boss thug look was so funny that no one could have imagined it. How could anyone stop their laughter upon seeing this? Kumoiwa Kana was going crazy inside from suppressing her laughter. Yanagi Megumi peeked over and burst out into loud roars of laughter. "Haha, Sayaka, don't say a single word now, I swear. This photo is on a legendary level. Whoever photoshopped this is an absolute goat. Ha ha!" Yanagi Megumi's laughter grew even louder. Kumoiwa Kana couldn't hold herself back either and laughed out loud, while Chiba Sayaka's face turned pitch black from anger. She gnashed her teeth in rage, stuffed the photo into her pocket, and began flipping through the entire pile on the table like crazy. There she found photos of Shinjo-kei, Ryu-Ruyan, and Yanagi Megumi as well. She grabbed Yanagi Megumi's photo in her hand and let out a villainous, triumphant laugh like a ferocious bad guy. "Sister Megumi, this photo of yours isn't particularly great either. I'm definitely keeping this as a souvenir." Yanagi Megumi sensed the danger and immediately pounced on her to snatch it back. Just a moment ago, she was boasting while laughing. Now, while wrestling for the photo, she looked equally hilarious and helpless. Chiba Sayaka was actually a bit cunning and smart. If this photo remained in her hands, she would definitely make it go viral in every single group chat for sure, ruining all her reputation in a single stroke. The photos of Chiba Sayaka, Yanagi Megumi, and a few others were photoshopped to an incredible level as the Cat Cafe staff. Seriously, there was definitely some strong connection among all of them. Together, everyone transcribed the notes written on the back of all those photos onto a very large sheet of paper. Then, Shinjo-kei took on the responsibility of arranging all those words correctly. When all this work was completed, a big secret behind their Cat Cafe photos was revealed. A portion of a letter was written on it. "My name is Dan Mealy. I was very happy to come to Chingsing High School No. 1 because Chingsing is considered a very awesome place, isn't it? And its passing record is very strong. But after coming here, I realized how terrible this school is on the inside. This place was always immersed in a very strange and terrifying atmosphere, where every day people mysteriously disappeared or were severely injured. I secretly formed a team so that I could uncover the dark truth behind this entire, terrifying story. And right at the moment when I was finally about to bring a little bit of the truth to light, I was treated with extreme brutality. My friends were killed one by one right before my eyes until, in the end, only I was left alone. My dear friend, if you are reading this letter of mine today, it means that I am no longer alive. If you truly have real courage inside you and the strength to bear its bad consequences, then please take all the evidence I have gathered out of here. Let the whole world know what kind of terrifying and gruesome hell this Chingsing High School No. 1 has actually become. Let the whole world see with their open eyes the dark truth of how this cursed place is nurturing real monsters hidden in human form. Thank you very much, Dan Mealy. According to the task written in that letter, everyone worked together to shift the room's cabinets and finally found the spot where Dan Mealy had hidden all his stuff, which was secured with a heavy combination lock. Does anyone know what the password for this is? I have no idea. I am thinking, could the code written behind that photo be for something else? Come on, let me give it a try once. Shinjo-kei, without thinking, entered the numbers 530,914. Immediately, incorrect password appeared on the screen. This one isn't it at all. We'll have to think of something else. Maybe we need to search for clues more thoroughly in this room. Why don't we open that window first so that if any trouble occurs, we can escape from there? That code 530914 wasn't for this chest at all, so that code must definitely be for this window, right? Kumoiwa Kana quietly went near the window and entered the code there. This time, the password turned out to be completely correct, and the window opened wide all by itself. This was no normal sliding window, but a folding window that retracted entirely inside the wall, opening up a massive space. Why did this window open so wide? I am getting a very strange and terrifying vibe seeing all this, I swear. Just as Chiba Sayaka finished speaking, a black shadow pounced inside from outside the window, and a scary scream echoed, completely terrifying. Kumoi Wakana screamed violently out of fear and hid behind Ryu Ruyan. Along with the scream, a horrifying sound of heavy banging on the door echoed, making everyone terrified. It felt as though someone outside was trying frantically to break down the door to get inside, causing everyone present to panic in deep terror. Trembling, I held on to Chiba Sayaka. Both of us leaned on each other for support to compose ourselves, thinking about what to do next. It feels like our time is running out. How will we find the password in such terrifying darkness? Should we forget the chest and run straight downstairs? My mind is completely scrambled. If we go down, maybe the game will end. But what was that cursed black shadow after all? Has it gone? Just thinking about it is terrifying. Out of intense fear, my heart was about to burst out of my chest. Just then, Chen Shishu picked up her flashlight, swept its light across the entire room, and stopped the beam at one spot. Tattered clothes! And this strangely scary joker was none other than our very own noob, Dan Mealy. All right, brothers, here he comes. Chen Shishu pulled Ryu Ruyan along and, without any fear, stepped forward with complete dominance. I stepped forward. You scared us a lot. Now we are a whole army. Do you really have the guts to rank up here alone? You are acting way too smart. Looking at Shima Keiko, her voice changed, and with a sly smile, she said, "Don't be angry, Senior. I am also a safety officer. My duty is to take care of everyone without creating any mess. I have to put safety gear on all of you, and later, when you slide down the rope, go one by one in a line. There should be no useless drama or pushing in between." Oh my God, look at her brazen face! As soon as everyone saw Dan Mealy's real face clearly, their mouths remained wide open in utter disbelief. So this was the coward who had been scaring them for so long? Earlier, they had thought she must be a very smart person. Seriously. What big fools they all were. The continuous heavy knocking on the door increased the anxiety that there was some major trouble outside. Showing quick agility, Safety Officer Dan Mealy rapidly began tying safety equipment onto everyone's bodies. Shinjo-kei called Shima Keiko to the back and said, "First of all, we need to find the password to open this chest, sister." Many people might have already slid down the rope, but there are a few names on the leaderboard, which proves for sure that there is something else going on. Just escaping from here doesn't mean you have cleared the stage and beaten the game. After everyone finished putting on their safety gear, Dan Mealy calmly explained step by step how to grip the rope firmly to slide down. One player was getting very impatient to go down immediately. He walked over and asked, "What do you say, everyone? Hey, Dan Mealy, can I go down now?" "Yes, of course you can go, my friend. Just let me hook up your safety line properly first." Light rain was falling outside the window. As soon as that young man began climbing out of the window with the help of that strong safety rope, the boy slid down very comfortably and reached the first floor in just 5 minutes. Down below, the safety staff were also waiting in full party mode. They had laid out very thick air cushions there. Every single safety detail was meticulously taken care of. As soon as the first guy landed completely safely below, the rest of the group calmed down significantly. Furuya Shizenseiji also felt that as soon as they went down, this stage would end without any disaster. Turning his face toward me, he said, "Come on, let's go down too." I shook my head firmly in refusal because I was scared out of my wits. "I don't have the courage. Both of you go ahead." Furuya Shizenseiji didn't force me much because, after all, this was the absolute final stage of the game. Brother, even if they didn't go down by the rope, the organizers couldn't keep him trapped here forever. Furuya Shizenseiji was always an OG guy who gave himself big challenges. He was the one who had invited the whole team to play here. He went up to the window, hooked his safety rope, and slid straight down in full swag. In the meantime, Shinjo-kei had found the chest with the secret documents. Those 5 people gathered around the chest as if they had found a massive treasure. They entered the password and opened it. A thick bundle of documents came out from inside, containing many written pages and photographs. Quote, "What incredible suspense!" Shima Keiko picked them up first, and after reading them, Her face turned pale. Gasping, she said, "How disgusting and vile! This is truly garbage. Those teachers really deserve the worst punishment. I can't believe they created an underground lab, using students as lab rats for their disgusting experiments." The real reason Qingxing number 1 has such a high pass rate is because hardly anyone survives until the college's main exam, and only the smartest kids remain, while the rest are ruined. No wonder. I thought something felt fishy from the very beginning. We didn't see a single teacher anywhere along the way, so that means all those ghosts were actually students. That's why such terrifying hazing happened in the school. When teachers never step forward, their boldness will obviously grow. Those people were never doing anything good. Quote, "What is written in these papers?" Kumwe Wakana eagerly took all the pages in her hands, and after reading them, she vented her anger just like Shima Keiko. Then Shinjo-kei extended his hand in a very calm manner. "If there is a lab, there must definitely be a hidden story as well. Let me see." Now only 7 people were left in that room. The rest had already cut away. Chiba Sayaka and I looked at each other. Whispering to me, he asked, "Xiaoxi, there is still a hidden story left. Are we going to be part of it?" I hesitated a little and said, "Maybe they won't want to carry useless dead weight with them, so they will hardly be willing to take us along there." "That's true too. Well, let me see what the scene is in a little while." Shinjo-kei suspected a hidden story, so she read all the documents very carefully from beginning to end. When she finished reading, she handed the files to Shima Keiko and walked around the room, where she saw an elevator door that blended seamlessly with the wall. No one could have recognized it. An absolute banger of a design. That elevator was still fully operational. "Keiko and everyone else, come here quickly! There is an elevator here that goes straight down to the first basement floor." Shima Keiko and the rest ran over and stepped straight inside the elevator just as Shinjo-kei was about to close the elevator door. She saw both of us outside. We were still standing in the secret room. She paused for a moment and asked, "Do you two want to come with us as well, sisters?" Chiba Sayaka immediately raised her head, looked at Shinjo-kei, and nervously asked, "Can we really come with you?" Shinjo-kei confirmed, "Yes, of course you can come. Come on, Xiaoxi, let's go with them too. Anyway, the game is almost over now." Since I had the freedom to walk, I nodded my head happily. Chiba Sayaka pulled me along, and we both entered the elevator. Shinjo-kei closed the door. In that small space, no one uttered a single word. Silence fell, and the atmosphere became a bit awkward. Feeling uncomfortable, Chiba Sayaka adjusted her clothes and said, "What do you say, everyone? Hello to all of you. I am a junior student at Jingchuan High School in Megumiching. My name is Chiba Sayaka." In response, Ryu Ruyan also nodded her head politely. "Hello, my name is Ruyan, and I am also from Jingchuan, and these are all my friends." After this, the elevator went straight down toward the basement without stopping. There was a secret room there that looked like a small museum of atrocities. There were no ghosts or NPCs here to scare anyone, but it still felt terrifying. The sight in front of us was so scary that our minds were blown for 2 kilometers. There were long, narrow corridors, and a bright red carpet was laid out on the floor. A bloody red. Several slogans were pasted on the walls there. The first slogan read, "Just keep moving forward and never look back by mistake." Chiba Sayaka just stared at those words without blinking. Suddenly, her emotions welled up, and she began crying loudly. I hugged Chiba Sayaka, patted her back, and gently quieted her down. "Calm down. It's okay. Stop crying now. We just have to remember that history and never make the mistake of forgetting our true goal." I can't control myself. This is so sad. So many innocent students suffered and lost their lives because of the dirty experiments of those monsters. Did they not have children or parents of their own? That is why they received punishment for their sins. A terrible fire broke out and all of them were burned to ashes. Only the class monitor escaped from there and thoroughly exposed their vile atrocities to the whole world so everyone could see their shameless and sinful faces. Chiba Sayaka nodded, and her mood seemed a bit better. At the end of that path was a huge plaza where, above the door, a board showing the exit from the museum was hanging crookedly. Exactly right. Under a nearby streetlight, a few reporters were waiting for Shima Keiko to hand over all those documents to them. The moment that reporter received the file, at that very second, the game officially ended, and our group emerged as the final winners. There was no joy on anyone's face present there. Everyone was mourning as if someone had ruined their game. The staff were completely used to these defeated faces. After putting a bravery medal on Shinjo Kei, they took everyone to gather with the rest of the players without any drama. Shima Keiko's head throbbed. We'd all come out together, so why was this medal given only to her? The staff explained that only the player who correctly decoded the code for that document box and found that special elevator that led straight to the big museum was worthy of receiving the medal. Got it, everyone? Standing in front of the crowd, the guy from the escape room showed off his dominance and said to everyone, "Dear players, it is almost midnight now. Listen carefully. I am giving everyone 30 minutes to get back into your real clothes. And for those who want to go home and rest now, our staff will safely escort them back directly to the park's parking lot. If anyone wants to hear the complete story of the game, come meet me after changing clothes." I went, cleaned myself up properly, and threw that game costume straight into the laundry basket without a second thought. In less than 5 minutes, I returned to my spot. And as far as Shinjo Kei's group of 5 was concerned, they had worn their own clothes in the game, so they didn't need to change. And obviously, they weren't going to shower or change clothes here. They were currently standing around the manager of the escape room to hear the complete story ahead. Got it, right? I went there and sat down comfortably, yawned, rested my chin on my hand, and began listening to the conversation. Shima Keiko turned around, looked at the girl who had just arrived there, and said, "Ah, so it's you!" She was a bit surprised. She had thought I only looked pretty because of the makeup and costume, but my killer look was completely real and sharp, without any filters. Feeling someone's eyes on me, I also stared straight back at her. There was confusion in my eyes as to who this girl was and why she was staring at me like that. In such a high-tech era, when I myself was pretending to be a player, I couldn't reveal my true NPC identity under any circumstances. So even under her stare, I remained completely quiet. After meeting eyes for 2 seconds, Shima Keiko panicked badly, glared at me sharply, and immediately turned her gaze away without saying anything. Shima Keiko pressed her lips together. Her heart had started beating fast for no reason. She was already a junior, and as a rich, beautiful girl, romantic feelings were certainly nothing new to her, that was for sure. But my innocent face was so cute that it matched her aesthetic perfectly. However, my personality seemed way too delicate and weak to her. Honestly, like a girl who cries over small things. I was definitely not the kind of person she would normally fall for, you see. Thinking all these things in her mind, Shima Keiko sneakily looked at me again. By then, I had already shifted my gaze and was enjoying myself on my phone. There was a slight smile on my lips. I was thinking about what kind of comedy was going on in the group. Fearing being caught red-handed, Shima Keiko quickly focused her attention on the manager and began listening to his explanation. As he was thoroughly re-explaining all the missions and milestones of the game, when the whole story was wrapped up, the Q&A began. Kumoi Wakana immediately raised her hand and asked, "Mr. Liu, I just want to know how Dan Mealy controlled the wind and why our flashlights stopped working." Manager Liu Feng looked at Kumoi Wakana, smiled, and said, "This is our secret. I can't tell you, ma'am. Simply put, everything is a game of engineering and technology. No ghosts, spirits, or witchcraft are involved." Shima Keiko had thought that after coming outside, she would find out everything. Her friend Kumoi Wakana immediately fired another question. "Then tell us this. How did Dan Mealy vanish and reappear as if she had some magical teleportation superpower? That is also a business secret of ours. I cannot tell you at all." Kumoi Wakana still didn't give up. "Then how did she manage it so that only one of us could hear her voice while the rest heard nothing? You can tell us at least that much." "Miss Wakana, that too is a secret. We really can't say anything. If every player finds out our tricks, we will never be able to recreate that environment of horror and fear again, ma'am. Besides, we absolutely cannot give other studios a chance to copy our special techniques." Kumoi Wakana looked around, and seeing no stranger there, she leaned right next to the manager's ear and began whispering, Oh, Mr. Liu, just tell us secretly, I swear. I won't tell anyone else at all, and I definitely won't write a single word about it on those useless escape room forums, promise. Liu Feng still stuck to his word. Forgive me, we have an agreement. If these methods are leaked from our end, we might have to pay a very heavy fine, ma'am. For Kumoy Wakana, a problem that could be solved with money was no big deal. Oh, it's okay. I will pay your entire fine out of my own pocket. Just please tell me this whole secret. Now, Liu. Feng smiled and shook his head. I think I still have a little bit of professional integrity left in me. Shinjo-kei, who had been standing completely silent until now, also suddenly spoke up in between. The safety officer present in our final room was actually Dan Mealy herself. I can tell you all this with absolute certainty, Liu Feng replied. Yes, she was playing the role of Dan Mealy. Shinjo-kei pondered for a moment and then asked, so are she and the Dan Mealy NPC who scared the living daylights out of us in the previous rooms actually the same person, or are they different people? I raised my eyebrows and lifted my head slightly to look at Shinjo-kei. Why did this girl suddenly start asking about this useless topic? Shima Keiko, Ryu Ruyan, and everyone else standing there also immediately turned their eyes to look straight at Shinjo-kei. Clearly, after seeing the safety officer's face, they had assumed that Dan Mealy was the person who had utterly wrecked them throughout the entire game. What's the deal? Because if we talk about body and clothes, both looked almost identical. Hearing all this, Liu Feng took a look at me and then, nodding his head with full confidence, said, yes, both were the same person. Hearing this confirmed fact, Shinjo-kei stared at Liu Feng for a long time, but she couldn't extract any useful information from his face because Liu Feng was a very shrewd person, you see. Seeing Liu Feng's expression, Shinjo-kei stood up straight and said, now it's time to leave here. It's gotten quite late. Let's go back and rest. After this, Shima Keiko's group stood up one by one, and all 5 of them beat a retreat and left. I looked away and got back to my phone, my fingers sliding over the screen effortlessly and happily. A few seconds later, suddenly a light bulb went off in my brain, and I remembered something. Wait, I totally forgot! I leaped to my feet and ran straight after the 5 of them. Shinjo-kei, hold on right there for a second! Shinjo-kei stopped right there. Shima Keiko, who was talking to her, also froze completely. Both turned around and began staring at me with great astonishment. I reached Shinjo-kei, and as I got close, I deliberately acted like I slipped and lunged right on top of them while falling forward. Shinjo-kei extended her hands to catch me without thinking, but the force of the impact was so heavy that both of us fell to the ground. Taking advantage of that speed, I grabbed both Shinjo-kei and Shima Keiko by the neck and slammed them hard onto the ground. What actually happened was that I didn't fall into anyone's arms. Instead, I fell face first straight onto the floor and my mouth got filled with a ton of dust, choking me. Seriously. My very first action upon falling was to get back up like crazy and spit out all the dust while coughing. I swear, what a jinx! My lungs almost came out. Then, making a sorry face, I extended my hand to pull Shinjo-kei up, but Shima Keiko refused to take help and stood up herself, giving a fiercely angry look. Hey, are you some 4-legged grass-eating monster? Where did you get this bull-like strength? Even together, the 2 of us couldn't withstand one hit from you. My fuse completely blew out. Shima Keiko was about to vent more frustration when Shinjo-kei pulled her back, told her to keep quiet, and asked me if I was hurt anywhere, or if everything was okay. Hearing this, I looked at my hands and then at my legs. My hands were completely fine, but there was a slight scratch on my knee. No major trouble. I looked at that scratch and quickly pulled my pants down over it. I'm completely fine. Thanks for asking. It's just a slight scratch. Don't worry about it. This stuff is totally normal. Shinjo-kei didn't bother checking me herself either because I had said I was fine, so she took my word for it directly. Then I asked, did you have any other work with me? I extended the medal held in my hand and said, you dropped your completion medal. That medal was placed on my dust-covered palm, but it was still shining brilliantly. The completion medal for the Qingxing Game's Scary Ghost task was actually designed in a very stylish manner, top class. Shinjo-kei quietly took that medal and slipped it into her pocket, then thanked me in a very calm and polite voice. She was totally chill. Saying just that much, she turned and went on her way. I didn't stand there like a bump on a log either. I limped back to the chair and sat down comfortably. Now that I had started the drama, I had to complete it too. Liu Feng saw me pulling my pants up and quietly stood up from his spot to bring the first aid kit. In our dangerous job, getting such minor scratches and injuries daily is completely common, so we always keep a first aid kit ready with us, fully stocked with all necessary supplies for minor skin injuries. No shortage at all. Shima Keiko reached the door and then suddenly turned back around. The sirens. She saw me cleaning my own injury and whispered to Shinjo-kei in amusement, "I thought this girl came running behind to ask for your WeChat ID so she could get it. She was so close to you, yet she acted like a total tough girl and didn't care at all. Seriously, a sight like this is definitely not seen every day." Shinjo-kei gave Shima Keiko a light tap on the head and said, "This was just a coincidence. What do you think? Am I some walking, talking trophy that anyone who meets me will fall head over heels for me?" Maybe she also knew that this was just a momentary meeting, which is why she never even mentioned her real name. From beginning to end, they only heard from my friend that her name is Xiaoxi, without knowing which characters are used to write it. In the blink of an eye, a full 30 minutes passed, and everyone put on their own clothes and gathered together outside once again. Those who wanted to hear the complete story of the game surrounded Liu Feng, while the rest took their gifts from the escape room staff and quietly followed behind the guide, heading out to the parking lot. Furuya Shizen Seiji wanted to see the museum, so he thought of skipping this story and leaving directly without wasting time. He happily went to find a staff member to ask if he could show the whole group. I stepped forward. "You scared us a lot. Now we are a whole army. Do you really have the guts to rank up here alone? You are acting way too smart." "Ji Xiao, shouldn't your sprain have healed significantly by now?" "Honestly, man," I replied with a little embarrassment. "Yes, but just now while walking, my foot slipped again by mistake and I fell once more." "Complete disaster. It will be totally fine by tomorrow. This won't affect our trip to the botanical garden at all, so don't stress, boss." Furuya Shizen came to my left side and bent down to check my foot. He saw that the injury on top wasn't really too deep, just a light scratch. He stood up and said, "Ji Xiao, since you've already toured this entire museum once, there's no need for you to come with us again. Go straight home right now and chill out comfortably, buddy. We'll pick you up tomorrow at 2 p.m. and then we'll all head out together to visit the botanical garden. Deal done." After clearly understanding my own condition, I didn't insist on following behind them. I said, "Okay then, let's exchange our WeChat IDs. See you tomorrow." Everyone immediately pulled out their phones, added each other on WeChat, and without any delay, quickly created a new group chat as well. "Awesome, buddies!" Moji and Mujo helped me get outside and put me on the bus so I could leave. Meanwhile, brothers Seiji, Furuya Shizen went to find that staff member to request a guided tour of the museum. After leaving the park, I hailed a taxi to go home and quietly departed. My brother, when I was climbing the stairs, my steps were completely light and fast. There wasn't even a trace of being injured. That fall was never a big deal anyway. I just put on a whole show. How could such a tiny scratch make me so weak that I couldn't even take care of myself? When I work at the escape room, I get a bit of rest at night anyway, so I didn't need to waste much time getting full sleep. Exactly at 8 a.m., I woke up completely refreshed and energized, stayed fully alert, and happily went out for a lap on my skateboard. Delivering food was actually just an errand on the way. Otherwise, I was just out having full fun. I had thought that when returning from abroad, I would stop by the mall to buy some clothes. My old clothes and all that useless junk were of no use by now anyway. I had either thrown them away or sold them off. I had only sent back the daily use electronics. Right now, the few select clothes in my closet are completely useless for photo shoot outings with friends. Hanging out with friends whose vibe matches completely, I can't look like a beggar there, right? I have my self-respect too. After finishing a few deliveries, I headed straight toward Jiangcheng's biggest budget mall, where items can be found for just a few dozen or a few hundred yuan, a super cheap arrangement. To be honest, I never get tired of them. I took a long lap inside the mall and slowly got lost in those sweet voices of girls calling out, "Handsome!" Everything felt so amazing that I felt like buying up everything. I had gone empty-handed and returned completely packed with goods. As I walked out of the mall, heavy shopping bags were hanging from both my hands. Coming back home, I cut off all the price tags and threw everything straight into the washing machine. After washing, I dried them, ironed them thoroughly so no wrinkles remained, brother, and hung them respectfully in the closet. Only after that did I take a shower and blow dry my hair. Wearing my newly bought shirt and pants gave me a completely fresh and awesome feeling, a killer vibe. Sitting in front of the mirror, I styled my hair to achieve a completely clean and strikingly masculine look. After a bit of grooming, I didn't look bad at all. It was only 1 p.m. I pulled out some fruit from the fridge to eat. Getting bored, I opened my sketchbook and casually started drawing some random crisscross lines just to pass the time. Before I even realized it, a picture of a girl as beautiful as a painting had formed on that paper. I froze completely for a second. I swear my breath hitched. Why her? I threw the pen aside, tore that page from the book, crumpled it up badly, and tossed it straight into the trash can. Ji Shen truly possesses such dangerous beauty that it could drive anyone crazy and make their heart race. I had drawn her without even thinking. When I think about it, I feel terrible and just let out a soft sigh. Just then, suddenly, a very sweet ringtone chimed. I swiped to unlock the screen and answered the call. A voice came from the other side. Ji Xiao, we are standing right below your house now. Hurry up and come down quickly. The moment I hung up the phone, I erased all thoughts of Ji Shen from my mind, picked up my camera gearbox, and went straight downstairs. Pushing open the building's door, I walked out in full swag. Outside, near a black Vito car, 4 sharply dressed guys were standing, and the moment I made my entrance, all of them raised their eyes at once to look at me. Seeing me in that cream-white shirt looking completely clean and stunning, all of them froze, swallowing their saliva as they gathered around me. Moji placed his hand on my shoulder and said, Xiaoxi, the moment I saw you, it felt as if that killer character from a novel had literally stepped out right in front of me today with his full killer vibe. Seiji Furuya Shizen patted my other shoulder and, taking a deep breath, said, Bro Xiaoxi, looking at this devastatingly handsome face of yours, I'm feeling regretful right now. Why am I not a girl? I shot a sharp and sarcastic look at Seiji Furuya Shizen and said, Well, my standards aren't actually that high. In true love, gender doesn't matter at all, my dear. If it's someone like you, I can definitely give it a try. What do you say, people? Hearing this from me, all of them were stunned and started staring at each other with wide eyes. It took those 4 a little time to react to my terrifying remark, and all of them stepped back at once. Then Seiji Furuya Shizen, doing full drama in an overacting tone, shouted, Dude, I consider you a close brother, and you want to be my boyfriend? Biting my lip with full dramatic style, I let out a long sigh. Ah, just as I knew beforehand, some overly smart people only talk big. Love without any real action is just a plain white lie. The other 4 guys couldn't hold back their laughter at all after watching my show, and burst out laughing loudly. Seiji Furuya Shizen grabbed my hand again and said, Xiaoxi, with this stunning look and this powerful acting talent of yours, if you don't go into movies, it will be a complete waste. Nowadays, a guy on Kuaishou is very famous, doing tons of commercials and big feature films. Bro, that guy easily pulls in more than 10 million yuan a month. Buddy, if you join Kuaishou, there won't be any space left in the market for those amateur people at all. Your killer look will crush those noobs in a second. Hearing his words, I let out a long sigh and said, Bro, I tried live streaming on Kuaishou earlier to make money, but not even a dog showed up to watch my stream. Life is truly very cruel, and that was like a hard slap right on my face. It seems that in this world, having just a good face isn't enough for some people. At my words, Seiji Furuya Shizen cleared his throat. It's horribly hot out here. Come on, let's sit inside the car and continue the rest of our nonsensical chat. I agreed and went to the back of the car to put my heavy box inside the trunk. But when I opened the trunk, my mind went numb because it was packed tight with gear. Well, luckily, it was a large 7-seater vehicle. There was still an empty seat inside for my extra stuff. Since I was the last to join this group, I took the very last seat without thinking twice. The moment we got into the car, that boring topic of live streaming was completely dropped, and Seiji Furuya Shizen told everyone about the awesome afternoon plan. That forest botanical garden is located on the outskirts of the city. Driving there from Jingen district takes about 40 to 50 minutes. Fortunately, it was summer vacation, so we didn't hit any heavy traffic on the road at this time, which kept us from losing our cool, brother. We reached the botanical garden gates around 2:25 p.m., bought the tickets, and walked straight inside. As the photographer, I opened my gearbox, set up my heavy camera, and hung it around my neck in style. Then I started walking while pulling the box alongside Seiji Furuya Shizen. He messed around with my camera for a bit and said, "This whole setup of yours isn't some cheap arrangement." I said, "I didn't spend a single rupee on this." He asked in surprise, "What, did you mug someone? Who spread this mess?" "Bro, I didn't need to stoop that low. I won this as a prize in a youth photography competition." Hearing my response, Seiji Furuya Shizen was thoroughly impressed and gave me a thumbs up. That is absolute boss stuff. Any competition that hands out 1 million yuan worth of gear to its winner definitely isn't some small-time amateur operation. It's really not that big of a deal. I was just acting humble, which made Furuya Shizen lose his mind. "Still, bro Shalsi, can you pretend to show a bit more respect?" I showed fake shock and said, "Furuya Shizen, is my dangerous aura blinding your eyes? If so, I am truly sorry." And then I started laughing myself. Seiji Furuya Shizen's hands began to itch because he really wanted to thrash me hard. Good thing his years of tough training stopped him from wrecking me. Both of us kept talking nonsense as we walked along and reached the shores of Yuzhou Lake. This was exactly where Furuya Shizen wanted to do his shoot. But damn, the entire inner lake area was blocked off. They were shooting a magazine cover there. Now what could the two of us even pull off, brother? The path was completely closed, and we couldn't go inside. Who knows when these people will wrap up their circus? "Come on, let's go somewhere else for now and finish our photo shoot. Let me head out." Our group changed locations and went straight toward the greenhouse garden, where we worked until 5 p.m. After working, everyone was completely exhausted, but Seiji Furuya Shizen was still stuck on that Yuzhou Lake. So I asked our driver uncle to get the lake viewing gear ready. "Let's go back and check the scene at Yuzhou Lake. If their circus is over, we can still get a killer shoot at sunset, brother." "All right, let's go." Then they picked up their pace and quickly arrived there. But luck was bad. The lake was still blocked off, which blew Seiji Furuya Shizen's fuse. Do they not care about the lighting for a cover shoot? They just needed to take a few photos. How could it take so long? "Bro, we've pulled off hundreds of awesome shots all afternoon." "Furuya Shizen, maybe we should go closer and ask them. Who knows? They might give us a corner for our shoot. This lake is huge. They're not going to take wide shots forever, right?" After coming so far, we couldn't just give up, so trying was necessary. "Come on, let's go." The two of them went down the stairs together. But before getting close, the photography team met them. The two of them went down the stairs together to ask, but before they could even get close, the photography team present there stopped them. Brother, that half-blocked line stopped them. "Hello, handsome boys. This is a very important and completely closed set area. You cannot come any closer than this, understood?" Furuya Shizen gave a sweet smile and said, "Madam, I see you've been shooting all afternoon. My friend and I just want to go near the lake and take a few cool photos. It will barely take half an hour. Could you make a small arrangement for us so our work gets done? I'm sorry, but we are in a massive rush to wrap up this magazine cover. If I let you inside, I won't know what answer to give the boss." Seiji Furuya Shizen was getting a bit irritated now. "So can't your team wrap things up a bit faster? Because after all, this Yuzhou Lake is a public area. It doesn't make sense that we pay for tickets and only you guys get to use it." Hearing this, that female staff member looked awkward. "I'm so sorry, man. Our minds are exploding from stress too. This is the first time we're working with K7GA. I think you must have heard K7GA's name. The same guy who went crazy viral on the internet about a month ago. To be honest, his runway photos from H-City Fashion Week were totally killer and devastating. Who knew that when we hired him, he'd turn out like this? He is completely different from our expectations. Every single shot of his requires a ton of chaos and useless editing. He can't even control his facial expressions, guys. Our work should have been wrapped up by this morning, but we're still hanging here. And nothing is going right. We need these photos by tomorrow at all costs. I'm afraid our whole team will have to pull an all-nighter now. So could you handsome boys adjust with us a little bit, please? K7GA? I narrowed my eyes slightly and, completely ignoring her, looked toward the crowd standing by the lake shore and said, "Wait, the guy who went viral on the internet's hot search list a month ago was me. So where did this K7GA come from?" I asked, "Are you talking about that same internet amateur who's flying high these days?" I mean, the same K7GA who was at the Shen Fashion Week, man. Is it really that same guy? Yes, you got it completely right. At first, he was very quiet. But just 2 weeks ago, he confessed on the internet that he is the real Xiaoqiu, and nowadays, he's working with tons of big brands. Bro, let me tell you, no brand gets happy hearing his name. Instead, it feels like watching some trashy comedy show. Their facial expressions turn into a total disaster. The work is complete garbage, yet he demands money that touches the sky. Just then, all of them laughed while swallowing their anger. That female staff member was still talking when suddenly her eyes caught something else, and she stared at me for a few seconds. Then her eyes gradually went wide open. "Hey, handsome, I think your looks have an awesome, killer vibe. Are you interested in working in a magazine shoot?" I just shook my head. I never had any intention of getting into this entertainment industry. That's why, even though I have Jiang Wang's business card and even got a new phone number, I never contacted him, because I prefer working for money over constantly being under the eyes of cameras and spotlights, man. When I run out of money, I work, and as soon as the money comes, I vanish with complete freedom. I have no desire to get into showbiz, man. But that doesn't mean nobody gets to take advantage of my name and steal fame in broad daylight. If I hadn't known about this scam beforehand, it would have been fine. But now that I know everything, I definitely have to set up a permanent fix for it. That female staff member was staring at my handsome and killer face as if I were a piece of heaven. She was sighing and openly saying that, compared to that useless K7GA, I am far more perfect for this job, meaning it's just me. But I just gave a slight smile and quickly led the anxious Seiji Furuya Shizen and everyone else away from there to avoid any new trouble. While walking, Furuya Shizen looked back and grumbled, "What a disaster, man. The lake photo shoot I spent an entire week fussing over just went down the drain." Right at that moment, I suddenly pitched a solid idea. How about I Photoshop the photos? To be honest, my editing skills are on fire level. I'll put a sweet lake behind you guys. Although Furuya Shizen hesitated a bit, the only way forward now was to quietly head back to camp, enjoy the feast, and wait a bit for the night shoot. Meanwhile, colorful star-shaped lights were twinkling on the lawn of the botanical garden, and the whole scene there looked like absolute fun. The vibe was fantastic. I was sitting at the dining table, comfortably eating fruits and scrolling through my phone to pass the time. Then suddenly I lost my temper when I found out that fake guy had stolen my photos, copied me, and been scamming people for the past half a month to extort money. So I immediately pulled my laptop out of its case and got to work sorting through the 500 or so photos taken this afternoon to pick the right ones. Man, every single photo had to be edited, and this was such a massive mess that it would make anyone break into a sweat and panic. The task was extremely heavy. I spent a lot of time editing a few portrait shots and dropped them into the group chat just for fun. To be honest, they looked so awesome that watching them blew Moji's mind, and he shouted out loud. He didn't just express his admiration in the group, he even offered to pay me 30 yuan per photo so I could become his long-term editor. I looked at my phone screen and burst out laughing inside. What a perfect catch. Bro, this deal is super solid. Having too much talent means I'll never go hungry. This long-term earning opportunity literally walked right up to my door. Right after that, Fujin brought over a plate filled with delicious, aromatic grilled beef fat. Swear to God, facing that mouth-watering aroma, all the big barbecue joints outside paled in comparison. I kept praising his cooking skills while picking up my phone to call Moji. "Bro, hurry back and stuff your faces, all of you." But suddenly, the sound of Moji jumping with excitement came from the other side of the phone. Hearing his voice, it felt like he had gone completely crazy with joy without stopping. I casually asked, "What on earth are you guys doing over there?" He said, "You won't believe who Kazuki and I just bumped into. Hold on a minute, I'll take a photo and send it to you." Before I could say anything, he hung up and rushed into the crowd. He ran straight toward that army-style party and started snapping photos rapidly with his camera. Fool! Just a second later, a few photos sent via WeChat popped up on my laptop screen. As soon as I saw the scene inside those photos, my eyes turned sharp and dangerous, and my mind went blank. I stared at those photos on the screen, my brows furrowing in anger. I really didn't expect to run into this jinx here too. In those photos, Kyoko was standing comfortably holding a guitar. Waka Aoi was playing the drums, and even Yanagiruka and Fumika were present there. That whole group together was throwing a massive outdoor party there, but amidst all of them, Shimakeko looked completely isolated and like a loser. She was sitting alone in a corner, just focusing on an English book like a total lunatic, because everyone else's looks were super cool and flashy. Therefore, they didn't just pull a crowd of tourists, but they also turned the atmosphere there into absolute chaos. Consequently, I quietly put my phone down, and my fingers moved so fast across the keyboard that shadow-like blurs appeared behind them. I finished editing Moji's photo in the blink of an eye and moved the mouse so fast that it blurred. Then I got up from my spot to help at the grill. However, I quickly realized that my help would only create garbage and ruin everything. To save whatever dignity I had left, I cleared my throat awkwardly. I thought I would learn something here. Furuya Shizenjun raised an eyebrow and said, "It's obvious you haven't learned a single thing. Go over there quietly and wait for the food." I had no choice but to give up, so I helplessly sat back down and opened my group chat, only to see complete destruction happening there. He was spamming me with, "You are God to me," and in total respect, he was ready to lick the screen, especially those photos of Kyoko that I edited to look deadly gorgeous and beautiful. He was swearing that he would break down my door and come inside. Not only that, he decided that once school opened, he would give me a massive promotion. He was fully confident that this time, he would make sure I earned huge profits. Holding a delicious, golden hot beef fat kebab stick in my hand, I simply replied in the group, "Bro, I've edited your photos, now stop staring and hurry back here to eat." Even when I was fully focused on editing earlier, I hadn't spared any effort in non-stop flattering Furuya Shizenjun and Hata Ren standing beside me, building bridges of praise for them. Furuya Shizenjun casually took off his disposable gloves and stuck a photo of a guy right in front of my face. "Take a close look at this, my brother, and now tell me after looking at this, is this guy good or bad?" I stared at that photo, and suddenly my mind went blank with panic. My eyes started wandering aimlessly without any reason. Why haven't Moji and the rest come back yet? Let me go check on them. My bluff was caught very quickly, so I had to run away with my tail between my legs. Seeing me run off in such severe panic, Furuya Shizenjun and Hata Ren couldn't stop themselves from laughing out loud. They weren't just enjoying my funny and exaggerated talk, but deep down, they were also jealous of my fearless freedom, man. Because heirs of rich fathers like them are destined only to be pawns for their family's political benefits. Therefore, even if I have to grind for money later on, it doesn't matter. At least I will live a free life and stay with my love forever and ever, boss. In a moment, I saw Moji and his brother standing nearby. I heard that Shinjo Asahi had just caused absolute destruction on the dance floor. A slight smile appeared on my face. Instead of running away or taking a shortcut from them, a strong sense of curiosity suddenly surged within me to see them. Now that our stomachs are full, why don't we also go over there and check out the hype? I placed my hand comfortably on my brother's shoulder, and the three of us walked back together because the real party vibe was just starting. I had just cleaned up all the mess and was setting up my camera to change locations when Kazuki came up to me with a bright red face and said, "Shashi, take even better photos of Yanagiruka for me later, okay? I'll pay you for it." I looked at him once and said teasingly, "Oh, so the tough guy melted for this calm and innocent goddess?" Hearing my words, he started coughing on his own saliva and flusteredly began explaining that it was just a genuine compliment. But just to tease him, I intentionally left my statement incomplete. "I get it. I understand your feelings completely. It's just a compliment, right? Which is totally expected for a girl like her, my friend." I laughed out loud and quickly took off from there. But surprisingly, Furuya Shizenjun suddenly looked like he was in huge trouble. Because after all, Kyoko and the rest were overly famous in the whole school. And the boys from those campus beauty support group were well known for their weird infamy and craziness, total fanatics and obsessives. If they were caught red-handed peeking and their photos got posted on the school forum, don't even ask about the disaster that would cause, just imagining it was terrifying. Therefore, to avoid unnecessary trouble, they all made a firm decision to turn back and head straight toward Uedao Lake. It was hard to believe their luck was absolute fire because the restriction ropes along the lake bank had just been removed a short while ago. I immediately worked together with Uncle Megumi, the old driver of the Fu family, to set up all the lighting gear. The shutter of the camera in my hand was working non-stop at lightning speed, and the final photos that came out in just a short hour completely blew Furuya Shizenjan's mind. He grabbed my hand tightly, genuine respect visible in his eyes. "Shashi, from today on I will come only to you for all my photo editing. Zero tension about money." I laughed softly and recalculated my service fees inside my head because I was definitely going to make a fat profit from this side hustle. Just as everyone was returning, laughing, and joking, they saw Shinjo Asahi's group throwing a fantastic outdoor party near Versailles from a distance. There was no trace of the troubles they were unnecessarily afraid of because that entire place was already packed tight with a massive crowd like a fair. In such a chaotic atmosphere, even if the campus beauty support group were there was no chance they would pay attention to them. Seeing this, Kazuki's excitement reached the sky. "Let's go closer and see what the fun is about." As he spoke, he didn't forget our old deal at all. "Shashi, a great opportunity like this doesn't come often, so snap a few more crisp photos of my innocent Yanagi Ruka for me." I opened my backpack, adjusted the camera focus, and said to him casually, "What's the need to get shoved around in that unnecessary crowd? Come on, let's just take a group photo from right here." Hearing my words, Kazuki was completely stunned right on the spot. "Can we really take a group photo from this far away?" Pointing toward the distant crowd, I smiled. "We just need to find a good angle. I'll zoom in and edit the two of you together later. When this photo gets printed out, it will look completely like a real group photo." Right after this, Moji, who was usually a very calm person, couldn't sit still anymore either. "Shashi, I also want a nice group photo with Kyoko." Without wasting any time, I gave a firm OK gesture. The lens quickly locked on to that distant target, and then the rapid clicking sound of the shutter echoed. I swiftly transferred all the photos to my phone and led my group toward that noisy crowd. Before we even arrived, deafeningly loud music started blasting straight into our ears. Kazuki was jumping like crazy from the edge, but the poor guy couldn't see a single scene inside. My height was pretty good, so taking advantage of it, I climbed up onto a blue stone and stood there. Looking down, I took a great view of the whole spectacle. Just then, Furuya Shizenjun brought up that same old worn-out topic again and asked me if I had finally added Shinjo Asahi on WeChat. I simply shook my head calmly, making him let out a deep sigh, and he advised me to try hard for a job at the Shen Company. But in return, I just gave a gentle, relaxed smile. Who can tell what is going to happen in the future? Because right now, the only thought in my head is making money. So I raised my camera again, set the focus, aimed it straight at Yanagiruka's lovely face, and snapped a dozen crisp candidate shots of her. In my eyes right now, all these photos were just like shining red banknotes. I never thought in my wildest dreams that Yanagiruka, who was sipping tea on a high chair, would suddenly look up and her gaze would land straight on my camera lens. Seeing this, I didn't panic at all. Quite the opposite. To me, this seemed like a golden opportunity to get my work done. Therefore, I immediately pressed the shutter button and captured that magical moment where her eyes were shining like stars. When she looked up with that intoxicating gaze, Yanagiruka's heart melted slightly, and she shifted a little closer to Shinjo-kei to speak her mind. An unusual excitement and joy echoed in her voice, which she herself was completely unaware of. She was praising how well-mannered and composed this guy looked, along with having an extremely handsome and killer vibe. She said that she really desired to know a guy like him even more. But Shinjo-kei didn't even bother to look up and threw a cold, blunt response right at her face. "That guy is completely not on our level because he isn't wearing a single piece of expensive designer brand clothing. His status is probably just like an ordinary person." Hearing these harsh words, Yanagiruka fell into a deep silence. In this high-class, rich society that worships money, the chasm between wealth and poverty is crueler than fate, no matter how handsome a guy is. If his status is completely ordinary in the eyes of those high society ladies, he is just a cheap passerby who will never achieve anything in his life. But honestly, I don't give a damn about their useless taunts, because right now I can only see big money. As soon as Yanagiruka shifted, I tucked my camera inside without thinking. After all, editing photos for money is way better than watching useless drama. Then, I warmly declined my friend's invitation to stay over and returned alone to my rented room located in that small, quiet alley. After that, I dove straight in front of my computer screen, sorting and editing the photos. My entire photo sending process worked smoothly like butter without any hitches, and as soon as I sent the pictures, Kazuki's online transfer arrived in my account in the blink of an eye. Very comfortably, a full 100 yuan landed in my pocket. Not only that, but Furuya Shizenjun also reached out to message me himself, expressing a strong desire to hire me so I could save up money for my tuition fees before school started. Therefore, with full attitude, I threw a price list at him, dividing the rates for insiders and outsiders, ready to rake in massive cash in this rich circle. Once everything was set, I called my dad directly, who had been missing for 5 years. Hearing Dad's terrifying tone, instead of getting scared, I casually asked, "Am I your real son or not?" Completely fearless. In response, Dad dropped a dialogue that blew my mind and even threatened to hang up straight away. Super sharp, man. Setting my overly clever attitude aside this time, I acted completely humble and started crying while telling him my entire daily routine. "Boss, even though I lost the power to spend blind money for the sake of freedom, to tell you the truth, this feeling of earning money through my own hard work is top tier and absolute fire, I swear." Even though Dad still speaks very harshly today, I clearly understood that even after leaving the shadow of such a big family, I still receive a lot of love. I am the OG top-level player of this game, with the real power to create my own tough rules and make the world follow them. Bro, at that time, I said with great hype that I wouldn't use a single penny of family money. And now I am begging Dad for help completely shamelessly, even while facing Dad's sarcasm and sharp jokes. I didn't step back even an inch. Instead, with a tough attitude, I fired back with a direct and sharp response. "Boss, back then, you didn't even try a little bit to stop me. You know that sometimes I speak without thinking," which made Dad so mad that he hung up immediately, man. I called him back very calmly, my face turning completely serious. "Dad, a cheap streamer is stealing my identity and taking ads. Please help me ruin his game." "Thank you, Dad. Love you." Who knew that as soon as Dad opened my heavily made-up photo from Fashion Week, he got terribly shocked and lost his mind? I just returned to the country, and you dared to cause trouble in the Shen family's territory? If Shinjo-kei had recognized me at that moment, bro, the outcome would have been so dangerous that just thinking about it makes me panic. But despite venting his anger, Dad deployed a top-level legal team at lightning speed, man. Right after that, he called back super calmly and said, "It was such a minor, useless thing. Couldn't you solve it on your own strength? Why did you suddenly come to me for help? Is something wrong with you? Did you create some massive chaos or mess outside?" I lay on the bed with a completely clear tone. "Dad, when you are here, why on earth do I need to do all this? Why should I dirty my own hands? It's not like I am a child who never received anyone's love in this world." These words instantly melted Dad's heart, making him feel great, after which his voice softened with pure love. "Bro, your mom's shooting will wrap up in just 3 days. Come home then for a great family dinner, and wake up super early the next morning." Under the pressure of that fierce and terrifying legal attack from the Shi family, 7-Second Fish posted a notice early in the morning stating that he was definitely not the real guy from the Shen family's Fashion Week. Instead, he shifted the entire blame onto the public, claiming they were spreading useless rumors, and he himself never made any grand claim about walking the ramp. There was no recording of the live stream where he admitted to being Shashi, Therefore, no solid evidence remained to prove his lame excuse wrong. As far as 7-Second Fish's advertising contracts were concerned, he had signed them using his real name, so even though it was a scam, it didn't break any rules. According to the contracts, the brands that signed him were left slamming their heads, unnecessarily draining so much of their blind money down the drain just to hire a useless streamer. I just don't like anyone spreading trash in my name, but I had no plans to completely ruin him, man. I wasn't in the mood to push him into a corner of terror. After 7-Second Fish corrected his mistake and made the post, I completely stopped taking useless stress about this drama. After checking the hot search, I tossed my phone aside, got up, got ready, picked up my skateboard, and headed straight to work without any unnecessary tension. Soon my school will start too, and my plan is to work hard the entire week. From next week, I will stop going to the amusement park and focus entirely on delivery work until my first day of school arrives. I thought to myself that a really long time has passed since I last saw the face of a school, so I was feeling super excited. I worked for 2 days and then took a day off. On the day goddess Megumi finished her shooting, I went straight to the airport to pick up Mom. Amamiya Ririka returned quietly, wearing a hat, without wearing a mask to hide her face, without any assistant or manager, and without announcing her schedule on Vivo, so naturally, no fans were there to welcome her. Receiving Amamiya Ririka was smooth like butter. I spotted her in the blink of an eye amidst that dense crowd and ran straight into her warm hug. It's a matter of great sadness that her dear son has grown very tall now. So no matter how much I try to cling to her chest, I don't fit like in childhood. Instead, this scene looked a bit funny. As soon as I jumped on her, Amamiya Ririka lost her balance a bit and stumbled. But looking at my killer and handsome face, she felt extremely proud of herself. She laughed, patted my head lovingly, and said, "All right, Xiaobao, I can barely stand properly. I missed you so much." I always firmly believe that love should be expressed openly, so I didn't feel shy at all in public, bro. Since I am not part of the entertainment industry, anyone seeing this love would just say how deep and unbreakable the love between a mother and son is. How could Amamiya Ririka not miss me? Tears filled her eyes too. "I missed you so much too. Now that you are back for school, don't go far away." "Yes, Mom, I know very well. I will do high school in Jingwan, and my firm plan is to attend a domestic university so that coming to your set to meet you remains super easy for me, and it becomes easy for you to find me and chill too." "Then you must remember this promise of yours firmly. Mom, this is a 100% solid deal." I spoke lovingly while coming out of Amamiya Ririka's hug, then turned around to hold Mom's hand and brought Chika along too. Bro, Shikazumasa was standing in a quiet corner, constantly looking around. He must have been panicking inside with terrifying tension because Amamiya Ririka's new film was shot on a top-secret set that required top-level secrecy. Therefore, he hadn't seen his wife's face for months. Shikazumasa is the chairman of a huge entertainment company. His face is easily recognizable in public, so picking up his wife was a top-secret task. Like committing a massive robbery, man. Otherwise, if the news of Amamiya Ririka returning to Zhongqing leaked out, their dream of eating a peaceful, relaxing meal today would be completely shattered, boss. I took Amamiya Ririka to Shikazumasa and smartly grabbed Chika's hand to clear a great path for them. I thought to myself, Mom and Dad are true love. Us kids are just like accidental mistakes. Guys, the best thing would be for both of us accidents to stand here without playing any attention-seeking games in front of them and quietly slip away from here, boss. Shikazumasa placed his hand on Amamiya Ririka's waist after being separated for so long. They were whispering to each other like a newlywed couple. Needless to say, they were being totally romantic. After picking them up, the four of us headed straight toward the parking lot. Chika felt like she had grown up now and didn't want to walk holding her brother's finger, so she kept trying hard to pull her hand away. On the contrary, I held it even tighter, made a sad face, and teased her. Kaho, earlier when I didn't want you following me, you stuck to me like glue. Now I've only been away from home for 5 years, and you are throwing so much attitude, man. My heart is completely breaking. Chika got terribly flustered. I didn't mean that at all, bro. Forgive me, please don't be sad like this, okay? Swear on me, Kaho, let me hold your hand.